Christ. All right, Harper. I guess you got the OBS there. Let's go to
Casey
the.
says hi.
Yeah, let's go to me and Kit. And what a disaster! Oh my God. We happening? Oh yeah, I'm looking at delay on here. All right, here we are. It's been a mess.
Here we got ads.
I was so ready to do this, and then what ended up happening is audio started coming in, like one of my cameras in here is picking up the audio, so we're hearing all this noise from the room, and we couldn't figure it out. We had to unplug the camera. I can't disable the audio on this freaking camera. Then I got logged out of YouTube, and then the preview and OBS went away. I had this shit working. I had this working.
Yeah, Mr. SJK is like, he did a wet dress test 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and everything's been great. We were trying to figure out how to mirror on 3 monitors, so we installed this Adrenaline software for the ADM card, and I don't think that was it necessarily, but literally everything went bonkers. I think we're streaming now on everything. So, God. Okay. Officially, here we are. Welcome to the stream. This is my first stream in like 2 freaking months. We've got Harper here. Harper, say hi.
What's up?
Yep, it's a long time since he's been here. And Kit, of course. And I'm just doing a Q&A today. I've got a few things I was going to talk about. I didn't get all that footage ready yet, Crystal. So
They were just still
yeah,
pictures,
I don't
what I
have
sent
the
you.
footage of all the things I've been working on.
Oh, they were just still pictures, what I sent you.
Oh, okay, yeah. You know what? Maybe just drop them onto a thumb drive and bring them down to me or something like that. Let me arrange a couple things here too so I can see the chat. So what I'm doing today is going to be just kind of Q&A and talking to everybody. And if anybody has any questions about production and all that, I literally spent the last 45 minutes doing this. I was going to try to prepare some other things. And also we're going to talk about the stream, what's coming up in the next month or so. Oh, Casey popped online. Maybe that's why everything started working. I think Harry's here probably somewhere. I'm looking at the chat delayed now because I actually can't see OBS now because we couldn't mirror it on 3 screens. So everything's a little late. Okay, let me drink some tea. Let me calm down because I'm totally freaking out here. All right. Let's get this dang show on the road. Anybody got any questions? I sure hope somebody has some questions after all this crap. Please, somebody ask a freaking question.
So nothing new. That's right, Smoke Spun. Billy's
Okay.
still freaking out.
I'm totally freaking out. Oh my God. And everything was so smooth this morning. It was all great. And I was like, because I remember saying to Harper, I was like, oh, I've got like an hour to freak out. Like, oh, let's change some software. Sure. Great idea. Dang. Oh, Saxon says 1,544 days you've been riding the Billy Hume freaking train. Hell yeah.
All right, Billy. So a question from the Bobovich. Have you looked into AI as a tool rather than the whole enchilada?
Yeah, I have. I actually was using it. And by the way, I just put out a new video today about the 808. And like, so I go on there and I'll like type in my title and say, hey, do you have any alternative titles? And it comes up with these terrible title ideas. But it'll kind of get me thinking about stuff that I could do that might be different. And like hashtags. Although it went into this deep thing today. I was like, hey, can you give me tags to put in my YouTube video description? And it gave me all this stuff, but the tags are like CSS, NGIXT. And I ask it, like, what are these other tags? And it's trying to tell me, like, well, you put this into like your website. And it's like, no, I just for a YouTube video. And it says, that's right. Thanks for clarifying. And then just told me the same thing again. I don't trust AI because I know it lies and it gets things wrong. So. Have I ever studied Indian classical music? This is from Mr. Harry's Music. No, I have not. I know very little about it. There's this guy I've been starting to hang out with a little bit here and there who actually knows a lot about it. And it's something that's in his family. They've studied it. They studied this dancing and the tablas and all that. And he was like talking to me about it. It was absolutely amazing. I need to get him actually on the live stream because he's actually kind of an expert on this stuff and bringing some of his instruments and all that. And that would be something I'd like to do. And Kit, can you write that a note down? I forget his name now. He's with like goddamn Brian and
Are you talking about the guy
Escobar.
that we met at Tree?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
guy. Yeah, that was an amazing
That
conversation.
would be a cool stream. Where'd it go? Bobovich clarified they meant Suno AI.
Oh no, I don't know. I like making music. I can just program what I want, like drum beats. If I need to program some drum beats, I just play the instruments and all that. I'm kind of hesitant to use it because it's, technically speaking, the way they've trained this stuff, it's sampling other people's music. It's probably sample shit I've worked on, and I don't even know if I want to go down that train because I think there might be legal ramifications further down the line.
Yeah, not to mention the environmental impact.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel really weird about doing that. I did have a client come in and they demoed the song on AI and it sounded kind of cool. But then when you start listening to it, it's like, some of that doesn't make any sense. We actually redid everything and we go back and listen to the AI version. It's like, oh, that sucks. And they needed it to kind of come up with the arrangement and the kind of the idea behind it. And that was kind of cool for that. But I don't really do demos. When I start recording, I start recording. My demo kind of turns into the song.
How to make great balance in a song from Horizon Official.
Is that who said they're from? Did they say that they were from Ukraine? Is that who I saw? Because somebody was just saying that. Hey, hello from Ukraine. Well, hello from America. How do I find? Yeah, my comments here are all really late.
You should have a live feed up on the top monitor.
Oh, you're right. You are so smart, Harper. God damn it. I'm still a little flustered right now after what went on earlier. Jesus, I cried. We still got to resolve these problems. Okay. Where's the question again? Balance in music?
How do you know when you've... Oh, wait. That's the wrong one. How do you... Oh, I did it again. Where'd it go?
Where maybe we should...
Oh, how to make a great balance in a song.
Do you mean like mixing wise?
I'm not exactly sure what they meant. Horizon Official, you want to clarify?
Yes.
Hey, Bloor says, is it better to experiment or emulate when kids start out in music?
Well, both. I mean, I think we start by emulating. That's how we learn. Thanks, Chronic Dream. I think emulation is a really good thing because it's a way to learn. Not only with playing, but also like if you're producing and mixing, oh, can I match that? That's a really good thing. But at the same time, you should be experimenting a lot. One of my kids is studying violin and they're learning how to read music, which is they're probably way better than that easily than I am. But they're just doing it like that. And I'm kind of leaving them alone. I want them to go at their own pace, but I'm going to start pushing them to maybe start just make up something, experiment. I really think that there's a good balance there. And I think over the years, what happens if you emulate enough and you try it on a bunch of different people and then you start experimenting, if you really dive in far enough, you're eventually going to kind of come up with your own sound. But I think it's kind of a balance between both.
Let me see here.
Okay. Now,
mixing. That's what Horizon Official was asking about on the balance question.
The way I think about balancing a mix, I think there's kind of it gets really complicated, but kind of two main steps. I do feel like a mix overall is defined by its low end and its high end. Although I do work a lot in the mid-range. That's like my favorite area to work. But I feel like when I'm working on a mix, I think a lot about like the bass or the bass part and the lower drums, like the kick drum and stuff like that. And I want to make sure that those are full and not getting in the way of other stuff. So I do a lot of high pass filtering on other instruments that don't have low end to kind of get them out of the way. And I feel like one of the best things you can do to find a good balance in the mix is to turn your speakers down. I've got my controller monitor here, and when I am mixing, I am typically mixing on smaller speakers like Yamaha NS10Ms, and I will mix at a volume a lot of time where I could talk like this. We could have a conversation at this level right here and hear each other very clearly because the speakers are lower. But one of the best things you do is get it really quiet. Like as you turn the speakers off and you bring it up, one of the first things you should hear is like the hi-hat and the snare drum and a lead vocal. Like those things should be the first things, like, oh, I think I hear something. Then as you bring it up, you start hearing more stuff. And I also feel like, trying a mono test is a really good thing. Also having like some small speakers and big speakers to compare with. And I feel like I used to have like this thing where I could measure like, oh, the kick drum should like on the master fader should be this high or whatever. But that kind of changes on the instrument. And also the DAW, the meters will show up differently. I can't even remember those things right now. I think it also kind of depends on the kind of music that you're doing. I like my drums really loud. So I tend to have my drums kind of loud and stuff like that. But I feel like if you can get a nice high end and low end around the cymbals on the drums and percussion and maybe the high end on the guitar and some good low end on your kick drum and bass, and make sure you're not boosting the same frequencies, and then you've got a lot of air. Everything else kind of goes in between there, but it's just a lot of it's just experimentation. The other one thing, if you want to do learn how to balance, if you're working in the DAW, get the there's a plugin called, I think it's Adapter AB plugin, something like that. Let me pull up something right here because I think I've got it in Pro Tools. But this plugin you would put on your master fader, and then you can load other songs into it. And this is kind of how I learned how to mix, is before this plugin didn't exist. I would just have a CD player over to the side, and I'd run it into my board. I was going through the board, and I would have my DAW or whatever over here, and then I would like turn on the C, and I'd just try to match these mixes, and I would just constantly referencing songs that have a lot of low end, songs a lot of mid range. So with this plugin, the Adapter AB plugin, you can load a bunch of different songs in it, and then you can click the plugin. There's a button on the plugin, and it'll switch to this other song, and you can match the volumes up so they're close. And it's a great tool. And it's a little disturbing sometimes because you'll listen to other mixes and go, oh my God, or it's so weird. It takes a lot of getting used to hearing jumping between songs to learn how to do that. It's actually kind of painful and hard to do, but it's one of the best ways to learn how to mix is having an AB plugin. And I feel like this thing, actually, let me just see if I can find one here. Hold on just a sec. I'm bringing up Pro Tools here, and I'm just going to, just a blank session here. Let me see if I can find this plugin here. I just can never remember exactly. I'm on a blank session here. Actually, maybe I'll just actually pull up something here. I think I've got the rehab stuff in here. While I'm doing that,
thank you, Chronic Dream.
Let me see. What could I play? Let's do this one. I don't know. Let me do this one here, so I don't mess anything up. So I'm going to pull up something here, and I'll show you this plugin. Did somebody say that they bought an LM1, a Lin LM1 drum machine? Because I put out a video today about the 808, and I'm talking about drum machines in there. Like, how much would that cost? Like, that's a collector's item now,
So you're pulling something up to help you answer a question?
Yeah. Chronic Dream says, 80s music was huge. When putting a song together, what are some of the ways to avoid sounding 80s in a new song?
Why would you want to?
Well, Chronic Dream, you just hit on something there that's actually been a major issue in my freaking life. So I kind of came up in the 80s. I love Tears for Fears. I mean, I love a lot of music, but I loved the 80s. And as I got into doing like, professional, major label mixing and all that, I would often get this comment from somebody and they go, sounds very 80s, especially not so much on the mixing stuff, but definitely stuff I produced. And they're like, that sounds very 80s. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? So I'd like maybe change the reverb or something. Like, man, no matter what I do, people say, it sounds 80s. And I could never really figure it out. And it really bothered me because it was not cool to sound 80s for a long time. Nowadays, it's cool again. So I don't really worry about it. But if you don't want to sound 80s, a lot of it's just going to be about reverbs, I think. I think reverbs and kind of drum sounds. Probably reverbs, drum sounds, and synth sounds for sure. Kind of like, the kind of sounds they used back then.
Yeah, James D. Ward suggested no gated reverbs.
Yeah, no gated reverb. Don't use any of the older, emulations of like the AMS RX, whatever that thing was, Rev 7, you know. A lot of it's just going to be reverbs, you know. I went for years mixing where I never used reverb in a song at all, except for maybe a snare drum. And that was kind of, I did it for a lot of reasons. Part of it was to kind of get away from the 80s sound, but also because I got really sick of reverb. I was going through the Rehab album that I just got done doing, and I'm finally like bouncing down the mixes. I realized like, oh my God, I've reverted back to reverb again. There's a lot of reverb on that album. We all like it, but it kind of freaked me out. This is the most reverb I've used in probably 20 years on this album. So, yeah, no DX7 pianos. Yeah, which is fine with me. I hate DX7s. Oh my God, I don't know. Okay, hold on. Let me come over here. Let me see if I can find this. Okay, let's go over to the DAW. Okay, so this is the plugin. I don't have anything loaded up right now. Let me just see if I can find one. Something. Do I have anything I could just compare to? Do I have any music anywhere? Oh, hold on. Let me see if I have just like regular popular music. I do want some drop. I just don't know if I have it available right now. Oh, hold on. Oh, sorry. Still a little discombobulated today. Okay, let me just see, and I'll show you how this works if I can find some here. No, I have nothing called music here. Let me just try some other freaking something, right? Oh, here we go. Try this. Doesn't even make any sense, but let me just try this. Mix 1. Okay, so the way this plugin works, I've got it here. It's on my master fader as the last plugin. After, like, you know, I've got a compressor here and a limiter, and then this is last, right? So if I'm playing the song, oh God, I have no idea what the volume is going to be like. Hold on a sec. It's probably going to be loud as shit. Well, let me just play some of this here. Whoa, hey, yeah, let me turn that down a little bit. Okay. So let's say you're working on a mix and you're like, oh, how does it sound compared to this other song? Like maybe a song you like. Well, I've got it loaded in here, so as it's playing, I just go like this. Of course, this other song sounds nothing like I would want it to sound like. This is just something I could find right now. But as you can see here, there's all these spots where you can load in different songs. And then you can, like, match the volume up. There's all these cool things where you can, like, decide where your songs that are loaded up play back from compared to the song you're actually working on in the song. It's also got this cool stuff like it'll show you the spectrum for your mix versus their mix. And I think there's a way you can, oh yeah, I think you can do layered where you're looking. Yeah, although I never really use that shit. I just use my ears. But there's all this stuff like, I think this is like phase correlation on your song versus the other person, stereo imaging. I actually never use that crap. I just go back and forth. This is a great plugin to have if you really want to dig in and learn how to mix. And it kind of gets back to that question about emulation and being creative. And before I move on to anything else, when I started doing this sort of thing when I was mixing back in the day, I did not have a plugin like this. I was just doing it with CDs coming into my mixer, and I'd have my DAW on 2 channels and the CD on another one. I'd just mute them and go back and forth. What I did was, I found a song, this was back in the 90s, so I liked this Goo Goo Dolls song called Iris, which is a very low-end mix for a pop rock song. It's very scooped and not a lot of mid-range, and the vocals are kind of quiet compared to other mixes. But there was another song by, I think, The Verve or somebody like that the vocals were really loud and had a lot of mid-range. It's a very mid-rangey sounding albums, and I found like, they both sounded great on the radio, and I thought these are kind of 2 extremes. So when I was mixing, I would compare it to the Goo Goo Dolls and go, okay, as long as I don't have more low end than that, and my vocals aren't any quieter than that, that's a good range. And then compare it to the Verve song, and it'd be like, as long as I'm not more mid-rangey and my vocals aren't louder, at least I'm in some sort of range. So that's kind of one way you can approach it. All right, let's see, what else do we got?
On the same line
Oh,
of
hold on.
ask-
Sorry, go ahead, Kit.
Oh, I was saying, kind of on the same line of asking about mixing. Punks are pretty asked, how do you know when you've done too much to a mix?
Is there such a thing? Here's what normally happens with me on a mix. Not every time. I'll have a pretty good rough mix. I start diving in the mix, and I was like, oh, yeah, I got all this stuff in it. And I have this weird way of mixing. I don't go linear, like drums, bass, guitars. Like, I kind of start on bass and drums, but I'm constantly bringing other things. And I might jump over to a background vocal. I'm all over the freaking place, right? My mixes always get worse. I'm like, oh, God. And then I'm like, oh, what did I do? I got worse. It always gets worse before it gets better every freaking time. But I feel like, I think the key with mixing is to take a lot of breaks. Do not sit in front of the speakers for hours on end without taking a break. Go do something else for a little while. And also trying to find a way to listen in a casual sort of way. Like work on the mix and then leave it alone and then go drive around in the car and you know, just kind of listen casually or whatever and just try to see, do I like it, you know? There's no finishing a mix. You know, somebody once said, no album is completed or finished, they're abandoned. There's a certain point you just got to go, it's good enough, you know? I do think sometimes I've overcooked some mixes, and then I usually know that sometimes I feel like it's just all smashed now, and I'll ask the client and I'll try to back things off. I can't say what would be the thing that would say, oh, this thing means I worked on it too long. But I do feel like there's a balance between working technically and instinctually. So if you listen to any Brendan O'Brien mixes, so Brendan O'Brien is a very famous producer and mixer, and he did like Bruce Springsteen, Stone Temple Pilots, just a bunch of freaking groups. I think he mixed Pearl Jam. He mixes very quickly. What's weird about his mixes is if you actually examine them technically, they kind of suck. Like there'll be a loud hi-hat, so he'll put a gate on the hi-hat, so it's not kind of bleeding in everything. But it'll open up. He'll hit the snare, and oh yeah, so like the hi-hat's coming in the snare mic, right? So he'll put a gate on the snare drum. But that means when he hits the snare drum, the hi-hat gets louder. There's mixes we can hear that is so obvious. And like, you never notice though, because it's a cool song, right? His mixes are like, often the guitar solos are too loud. They're just too loud, but they're emotional. And I like to listen to his mixes because God knows if I was in the middle of if I was at the finished end of one of his mixes, I'd probably spend 8 more hours on it. But he was just like, hey, sounds good. It's a vibe. It's almost like he's doing these like nice rough mixes. So there's like, I'm not that kind of guy. I tend to tweak things out. But how do you know when it's gone too far? It usually when it starts sounding worse. And that's why when you're in your DAW, and let's go back to the DAW here. I want to show something. So let's go to, where was I? The thing that you want to do is when you're mixing something, and I don't have a ton of mixes on some of this stuff. Well, for instance here, you'll see like I've got all these versions here. I've got like, if I move on to like adding guitars, you know, we added vocals and, you know, mix 1, and then I do another mix 2 at my other studio. I save them, and I save new versions of the session as I go. There's mix 3. So in case I get to a point where it's like, oh, I think I've done too far, I can back up easily. So there you go. But don't worry about if it gets worse. Just because it's gotten worse doesn't mean that you should back up. Sometimes it getting worse means that you need to press forward too. I know that's not the most precise answer, but I hope you get something from that. Okay, Chronic Dream. Wish you could analyze my new song and tell me where it's 80s because it all sounds 80s. Frustrating for sync purposes too. Thanks for the advice. So Chronic Dream, why are you worried about it sounding 80s? Are you specifically getting reactions from people that are telling you, hey, this is like really bad? Yeah, hit me, Chronic Dream, hit us up like, through email because you've been a big supporter here. I don't normally get to. I'm actually going to make a video about critiquing songs. I have kind of shied away from it. I have very specific reasons, and I'm making a video about that because it gets kind of deep. But you and I have mutual friends, and you've been a supporter here. Hit us up, and I'll talk to you about that.
Okay, so hold on. I'm throwing up the Discord link because somebody was asking about that. So let me get that out there.
It's 1337. Peter says, by the way, just wanted to say, hey, Billy, really appreciate you making these open streams. I'm on new artists to grasp this big world of music. Yeah, I love doing this stuff. I actually really love streaming. I know I stopped for 2 months, and I kind of needed to, and I was going to explain why, and I was going to have all these freaking pictures about what I've been doing. Has nothing to do with music, but because of the emergency of this freaking damn OBS freaking out of me, I wasn't able to get it together.
So Valhalla Supermassive, how do you set MS? That's from John's in 2425.
How do I set what? Mid-side?
MS.
I think I have Valhalla on here. I don't really mess with MS stuff so much. It's funny, there's so much technology now in music and the tools. It's almost like, God, I remember I mixed hit songs where I didn't even have a limiter or compressor on my master fader. I mean, we would wait for mastering for that. Like one of the biggest songs I'm known for is mixing Never Scared by Bone Crusher. And I found the Pro Tools session a couple years ago when I pulled it up, and I was like, oh, I only have like 1 or 2 plugins on each track. I use a lot more plugins now. I don't get that much into mid-side stuff. I mean, I guess I should study it. The funny thing is people say, oh, your mixes are so wide. And I'm like, I'm not doing anything crazy. I just pan shit. I don't know what that has to do with Supermassive, though. I love Supermassive. And if we show the screen here, Harper, I'm happy to show this. I use Supermassive mainly just for reverb. So this is the setting. It's the Lost Saucer setting, which is under... It's a medium, it's a medium reverb setting. And then I just tweak it out. Like, this is kind of like what I do with it right here, you know. But I'm not doing any MS stuff I'm not doing any mid-side stuff, in case that's what you're asking. People ask me about certain techniques, and I hate to say, I just don't do that stuff. You know, I just mix it.
I'm really low for them.
Oh. You're kind of low for me, too. Oh, you know what? Hold on, let me adjust something over here in... Oh, you know what? Should have done that too. Okay, I'm going to turn you up more. Talk, Kit?
I'm still here. I'm on them, and when they're talking about it, I've been keeping it on my mic with you so that I can tell you questions.
I don't know how much difference there is in volume. Here, switch over to the audience setting.
So quick. On this setting, y'all, only you can hear me, not Billy. But I don't know.
Okay, now switch back. Talk.
And so.
Oh, it is actually quieter when you do it that way.
Interesting. Oh yeah, Jordan G Unit here is saying they're a bluegrass musician and would like to see some of your approach to mixing that stuff one day. Hey man, there's actually an upright acoustic bass.
I turned me off. Hold on. I realize I'm picking you up. Here, I just want you to talk. Hey, we're doing a little...
Smokes Fun says the buzz is gone, or the hum. But, yeah, I'm going to look... Let me see if I can find a link to the acoustic bass video for you.
Hey, Kit, hold on. You keep talking. I'm going to turn off my mic. I think I'm looking at the meter here, and I think I'm hearing... Yeah, just keep talking. I'm going to try something. Hey, switch back to the audience one real quick.
Here's the audience one. And, they said that this level's really good.
Okay, we're going to do some stuff later on today. We're going to try to figure out this damn camera, for one thing.
Right.
Hey, Kit, for right now, since we're just talking, leave it on the audience one. I'm just going to... Oh, actually, hold on.
Hear me ask you questions.
Oh, hold on. No, not the audience one. I'm going to turn my mic off. You talk, and I want to check something. Okay? But leave it on this setting here.
almost like it's on a different
Just trying to
microphone.
run my mouth.
Well, yeah, it's kind of weird. There's I'm kind of doing some crappy engineering here. The way that I'm actually switching. It was something I set up just during the rehab live streams really quickly, and I've never really perfected it. So what's actually happening is kind of duplicating, I think, because when she switches over, yeah, I got to set something up. I think I might actually need to put some sort of mic pre or something up there with her to do this, because she's just switching it on this little switcher box. It's a very rudimentary, crappy way of doing this, but it's the best I can do. So,
We're on a shoestring over here, y'all.
Kit, what I would say is leave it on this setting,
Yeah.
but when you're not talking, just turn your mic off because it's buzzing.
Gotcha.
This is some like, sorry it's so low tech and crappy sounding for like a pro here, but it's like there's so much going on and trying to set this up, and I've never been able to actually get some of this perfected. All right, let's get back to questions here. And okay, Crystal, have you posted up
The link to the new video? Yes, I have. Let me get back to questions here. Part of it is probably too, I keep going off the mic where I'm too far away, but so this is kind of more on a business side. Somebody, Closet Music says, as an up-and-coming producer and musician composer, I'm still in the student phase of learning technical side of things. At what point does one journey into the business, networking, and administration side?
Sorry, I was reading a text at the same time.
That's not helpful.
I know, man. And Harry's texting me on the side about the stream. He says they're getting pixelation bursts on my head. Harry, just check the quality of your playback too, because I realized mine was set at low. So, okay, let me look at this question again.
Okay.
I don't see it. Read it to me again.
Yeah, there's anyway. As an up-and-coming producer and musician composer, I'm still in the student phase of learning technical side of things. At what point does one journey into the business, networking, administration side?
I mean, just any time that you can. I think that you need to. That's something I didn't do for many, many years. I just like being in the studio, and I probably should have gotten into the business side a little bit earlier. I think it's never too early to learn that stuff and to educate yourself about like what a song split is and what's the difference between, the copyright on your master and the copyright on the intellectual property, or what a manager does, or just whatever that stuff. Like, it's a big part of this, and it's changing a lot too. There's a lot of stuff that's changed. Don't read any book about this stuff that's older than a few years. It's completely different now. There's no books from definitely more than 10 years ago that is worthwhile. And I just say start doing it. And there's going to be a lot of advice and stuff out there and stuff that people say that's kind of just bull crap. And I think this camera's a little crooked. It's kind of driving me nuts. And it's kind of funny about learning. Let me use an example here, okay? So with this YouTube channel, it's not exactly the same thing, but getting on this YouTube channel, I started like how do you do things technically, but what gets you the most viewers, or what works to build a channel, right? And I tried so many things. And the funny thing is, like, for me, the things that actually tend to work really good are completely opposite of what probably works for most people. And I think it's just because of what I do. And I think it's going to be the same on the business side. Like, say in the business, people say, you got to network, you got to network, you got to network. For me, I am not good socially in many situations. If we're here hanging in the studio or out and hiking in the woods or freaking whatever, I'm going to be good. But in kind of certain situations, I don't know. I just not comfortable there. So I don't think I come off well. And I think that doing some of that stuff might have done me more harm because I probably looked like a weirdo. The other thing that was interesting is that, in the business, everybody was like, stick with one thing, stick with mixing or stick with production. Stick with one genre. And I didn't. And for me, that worked really good because of where I'm trying to go with my life. So the point I'm trying to make is go out and learn all that stuff. Take it with a grain of salt. like some of it might be the best advice, and this is kind of going back to about reviewing songs. The best advice for one person may be the worst advice for somebody else. And anybody giving you advice, for them that could be like, hey, this is the best advice, let me tell you, may not be the best for you. But you're not going to know. You're going to have to go try some stuff, and maybe it'll apply to you or not. But it certainly can't hurt you. You might make some mistakes here or there, or maybe some of the information doesn't apply to you, but better to know what you don't need to know than not to even have any clue about it at all. So I just say start digging into it right now.
Okay, so
How bad is that
I have
buzz?
so many questions here now. Here's one. Horizon official asked what VST
It's not
plugins
overpowering
sound
things.
most like analog.
Sorry, say again, Kit.
What VST plugins sound most like analog?
Man. Hey, sup, Mello. I don't know. Oh, you know what? There actually is. Let me pull this sucker up. This is not necessarily VST. I don't even know what the hell it is. Hold on. It's, what is it? They sent me this thing, and it's actually, I need to mess around with it more if I can remember the damn name of it. It was that tape machine. Oh, here it is. I think it's this. Oh, let me see. Okay. This is obviously a tape emulating plugin right here. There's a bunch of them out there. This thing has been my favorite so far. It's, what is this thing called? It's the P821 MDN tape emulator by, what's this company again? Is there an information thing on here? I can't remember the name of the company. Oh, here we go. About. Okay, this is Pulsar Modular. It's a great tape emulating plugin. You know, obviously that's going to sound more analog, but as far as like just a regular plugin, like some plugins kind of model that stuff in there, I don't feel like probably, I don't know, that's a weird question. Like some plugins will have something in there that's like, oh, we're going to sound more analog here, right? Some of them don't. To me, what I do is like if I want something to sound more analog, then I'll just freaking put something like this on after that plugin, or I'll do this, and I've shown this a million freaking times. I'm going to show you again. I put this on there. This is just like the Pro Tools, and I'm not in a VST program right now. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and pull up live in the background here. But this is just a little bit of saturation. I think people overthink the analog thing a lot, and there's no magic, formula for analog. It can mean a lot of different things. It can mean like, oh, it just round off the top end, or the way it affects the transients, or it softens things up, or it's got saturation. And sometimes you're looking for just one of those things, and sometimes you're looking for all of them. And let me see, let's find one here that I actually did in Ableton. That Stomp project. Hold on. I'll pull up an older version of this. This is a incomplete song. So, if I want something to have kind of a quote-unquote analog vibe to it, like, and to be honest with you, some of the analog plugins, like, oh, there's like an analog tape emulator, they're way too more subtle. They're too subtle for what I want to accomplish. What I'll do often, and this is usually something with vocals, like on a vocal, I'll do something like, oh, this is a weird track. It's not even complete. But like here on this hook, let me see, what do I have here? Oh, whoa. Wait, do I have something soloed here? Oh, here we go. That's why I'm not hearing it. Okay. The equivalent of that plugin in Pro Tools, that lo-fi plugin, and I just barely, and before I pop over here, let me show you. What I'm doing here is like, if you look at this plugin, it's literally called the lo-fi plugin in Pro Tools. All I do is if you look here where it says distortion, it's normally here. I turn it up to here, maybe up to 0.5, and that's it. And what it does is it just adds a little, it says distortion, but to me it sounds a little bit more like saturation. That's kind of like hitting tape really freaking hard, right? In Ableton, I'm an extremist when it comes to these sort of things. So in an Ableton, if I want to accomplish that same thing, I'd be more likely to, whoa, shit, hold on. Okay. Of course, Danny's screaming on this thing, but just so you know, what I'll go for is just this dang saturator plugin right here. This thing's great. And I'll just like, if you want it more subtle, analog clip, and I just turn it up a little bit. Just like boom, you know, like. I think that's actually a rough mix right there, a rough vocal. And it's not necessarily like, oh, an analog plugin, but what I want out of analog is a little bit of saturation. But I can't say certain plugins are going to sound like more analog than others, you know, unless they got something built in. Okay.
What is the best way to transfer stems online that won't reduce the quality of the stem?
I mean, it shouldn't make any difference, really. Like, right. Like, if you're just transferring files, like, I don't think, I mean, mail it. Well, first off, do not send it in a text. Okay. Don't send MP3s, you know, unless you're waiting to get paid. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the transfer is going to affect the quality. And normally what I'm doing is if I got to send a bunch of stems, I'm compressing it anyway. So it's going to like, you know, I'm going to zip the file and then they're going to get it and unzip it. I don't think that affect, you know, I'm getting, I never really thought about that. I get stuff sent from mastering engineers and guys that are like absolute high fidelity freaks. And they're just sending me stuff in WeTransfer and stuff like that. I don't think that should affect the quality. Sometimes I'll have people send me a song in a text message, and it's like, no, don't do that. It's going to convert it. But as long as you're sending off your computer, and you know you got everything together, and just zip the file and send it to them, it should be fine. Hold on, there was a question here from Vance Records. Dude, you are such a vibe. Thank you very much. Love the whole channel and content. Thank you for it. What are your major observations for 2026 music and moving forward? Mainly how people are recording and making music. I'm not. My major observations for music for 2026. I mean, man, I don't know. I do know that it's funny, like the major labels they're cutting out humans. I was talking to a good buddy of mine who's been doing a lot of major label work for years. I got out of the major label thing years ago because I wanted to have a freaking life. And I wanted to be able to do this YouTube channel, work on my own music. And when you're working with superstars and major labels, if they call you, you know, hey, we need this mix by tomorrow, you have to stop everything. You got to miss your kid's birthday. You got to do everything. You got to just do that one thing. And I got tired of that. Plus, too, working with superstars is not that much fun. But I have a lot of friends that are still doing it. And I think a lot of people just got fired. These are guys that have been working steadily for years. They're running out of work. One of the major labels bought an AI company. I forget who it was. They were telling me that yesterday. They're laying off A&R people. The few people they have on at the label, they're just looking at AI artists and all that. So if you're wanting to say something about the industry, I ain't got much to say about that. I think it sucks, and I wouldn't even want to get involved in all that. However, looking forward, the advice I can give you, I don't know what the trends are, but I would say build your own thing. Build your own thing. Like, do what I'm doing. Start streaming or put your stuff out there. Start to build your own audience. Learn how to make some videos. They don't have to be freaking, you know, Spielberg level shit. Or go out and gig. Probably one of the best ways to have a career nowadays is if you can gig regularly and you can figure out how to do it, you know, financially. That might be one of the best things you can do because people want to see live music. Everybody's sick of, you know, the fake stuff, right? And how people are recording and making music, everybody's doing it a million different ways. I'm pretty old school, which is kind of funny because for the longest time I was very modern in how I did everything. And then when I started putting together this studio, which is in my home, and I used to work at another studio, which was mine as well, I've kind of reverted back to using more outboard gear and doing things in a more old-fashioned way. And actually, I'm going to be doing some songs on my analog tape machines just for the hell of it. Boy, that'll be a chore. But I don't really think it matters, man. Like, make the music that you want to make, however the hell you want to make it. And I always tell this story. I've got a friend. He does more electronic music. He does it all on a laptop. He doesn't even own a microphone. He doesn't even have a MIDI keyboard. He does that thing in Ableton where you can turn the computer keyboard into like playing notes, and he'll do stuff on there. And he's all about plugins, all about software instruments, doesn't literally chord anything. If he needs to do a vocal, he'll borrow microphones from somebody. His music is amazing. It's so good. I can't do it. They figured out their own way of doing it. And some of my best friends are way more old school than me, the way they work. And I can't work that way. It's not the way I work. I'm kind of a hybrid. And they use gear that I would never use that mic, and I would never use that pre. But when they use it, I'm like, damn, that sounds really, really good. I encourage people to go try anything you can, experiment, work with other people, and then you're going to find the things that work for you and what don't work. I'd say, I'm not into AI, but I know some people, as they're coming up, they might need to use it to make demos and all that. Like if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. But I just say the main thing is just make it. I was really inspired by this movie called Crystals at El Mariachi by Robert Rodriguez.
Yes.
Yeah, this guy made a movie back in the early 90s for $6,000 with a 16 millimeter handheld camera. It was a nice camera, but it was old. And the movie, he was just doing it to kind of release it direct to video in the Mexican market. And it's a long story, but it ended up being picked up by a major film studio and released. And he went on to make Desperado with Antonio Banderas, and he's made a lot. He's like one of the most successful, famous producers around. But he did it just by grabbing this camera and filmed this whole thing with no crew. His lighting was like the kind of lights you get at a hardware store. There's like a silver thing. You put a light bulb. That's what he used for lighting. And there was no crew. And it would be him. And sometimes the behind the scenes are funny because the actors would be helping move shit and all that. And he did it in the course of like 10 days or something like that. And I found it really inspiring because he just invented stuff, and he made that movie, and then he'd been in film school. By the time he had major distributions, a lot of the people he was in film school with were still in film school. And he's like, just go do it. And that's what I always tell people, just do it. Don't wait to buy a piece of gear. Don't wait for the perfect thing to happen. Just start doing it now. And the cool thing is with, modern technology and digital shit, you could always go back and fix it up. It's not like analog tape where you had to go buy all these reels of tape and it's expensive. And you know what I'm saying? It's like, just go do it. Just start making it. Just find your own way.
Hang on a sec.
Welcome, Bardum. Thank you for the follow over on Twitch. We appreciate you.
So, this is sort of in the same vein as some of those other questions. How has the evolution of the music technology affected your music creation?
It's made it easier.
And because I'm so quiet when I ask you the question, either I need to repeat it myself on their channel, or you need to repeat the question, one or the other.
So how has music technology affected music creation? It's made it easier.
Your music creation.
Yeah, my music creation. Well, it's a little bit hard for me to answer because I've always been pretty much at the forefront of things for years. Lately, I've kind of pulled back because there's stuff I'm not interested in, and I'm just trying to get some work done. But yeah, I was always really ahead of all my peers, like moving into ADATs and digital shit and whatever. And also having a home studio, not working in a major, the professional studio. I like working in smaller studios. But the main thing has been that it's just quicker. I like the fact that my demos, it's easier for my demos to turn into the finished product. In the old days, maybe you'd demo it on cassette, or you would put it in, if you demoed it on a reel-to-reel multi-track machine, maybe the tempo wasn't right, so you'd have to go back and redo it. Hell, in the DAW, if I've got a demo in there and I want it faster, I can just stretch it and all that kind of stuff. It was just, to me, the flow is like, I don't really do demos anymore. I'll start recording, and then I'll add things on and get rid of the initial tracks, although sometimes I leave some of that stuff in there. That's probably the main thing for me. And the other thing for mixing is recallability. Back in the old days, when I was mixing, you couldn't store anything. So if you're like working on a mixer, and I would show my mixer right now, but the damn camera's acting weird because the microphone's active. But if I mixed a song and I wanted to come back to it later, I either just had to leave the mixer and all the gear where it was sitting before I did anything else, because once you move it, how are you going to set it up? Or I had to document it all with recall sheets. So I'd have these pieces of paper that had literally a picture of my mixer on it, and you'd go through every knob and write down where it was at and every piece of gear and how you had it patched up. Oh my God, it would take hours to even document it. And then if I came back to recall a mix later, setting it up. Now, some mixers like SSLs had what they called total recall, but even then you had to kind of go and like kind of reset it, and then it would beep and tell you, and it was never really the same. To me, that's probably the main thing, that I can work on a mix and go, I got to go to bed and I got to go work on another song. Or I could be working on several songs. I might be sometimes switching between 2 or 3 songs, mixing in a day. I try not to stay in one too long. Let me jump over to this other one. I can save it and pull it back, and it's right where it was. That's probably the main thing. That's the main thing.
Okay, I have 2 questions that are related. First is from James D. Ward, said, as someone who's been in the music industry for a great amount of time, why is Pro Tools still the industry standard? And is it one of your personal favorites as well? And then the second question was from the Bobovich, asking, what DAW do you use for what?
What was the first part of that question again?
The first part is basically, why is Pro Tools still the industry standard?
Well, why is Pro Tools the industry standard? I don't know if it's always the industry standard. So, for instance, here in Atlanta, I don't know how it is now, but back in the late 90s, early 2000s, especially early 2000s, a lot of guys I know that were doing rap music worked in Logic. I think it's an industry standard because it's, you got to understand, Pro Tools is owned by Avid, which is a huge company, and they've just got marketing power. And they can they definitely push some other companies out of business. I know that for a fact. They were very aggressive, and they kind of hogged everything. It's a very professional platform. So for mixing, Pro Tools is great because it follows more of a traditional mixer mentality, like the way the signal flow works and the way it all works. It kind of follows and goes along a more traditional type of format and philosophy and whatever. And I think a lot of people are kind of used to that. I do know a lot of people that are mixing in other stuff. I just think it's just been around a long time, and they're just a huge company. I just think it's marketing. I don't necessarily think it's better. I will say it's better for live bands. So if I'm mixing a live band and I've got like a bunch of mics on a drum kit and there's a bunch of guitars, I'm going to be in Pro Tools. It's not the funnest place to work, and it's not cool, but the way it's set up, it works great for that. If I'm producing and I'm using more like program drums, I'm in Ableton all day. I love Ableton. I can mix a live band in Ableton, and I've done it before. It's just not really set up for it. I think Ableton is fucking the shit, man. I love Ableton. But Pro Tools is kind of a little bit better for like bands. Like for instance, when I was working on this Rehab album recently, which we live streamed the whole album, I had some songs that we did in Ableton, and then I wanted to put live drums on them. I thought we were going to stick with program drums, but the drummer's here. He's like, I want to play along with that. So what I did is I just made like a stem in Ableton of like the program drums, the music, the bass guitar, and the vocals. I throw that over into Pro Tools on Grid, same start point and all that. I do the drums in Pro Tools, and then I would like go ahead and edit the drums in Pro Tools. And once I get them, then I would export them the stems, I would like bounce them down and export them back into Ableton, because once I start a song and I'm pretty far into it, I don't want to switch platforms. As a matter of fact, I work on projects where some of the songs are in Pro Tools and some of them are Ableton, and I mix them in on one DAW, and then the other half the songs are on one DAW, half the other songs on the other DAW, and I defy you to tell me which one I did on which. That's all I'm going to say. Was there another part to the question?
I think actually you were kind of covering it, because the other part to the question was, what do you use different DAWs for? Like, what, you know, you use this DAW for these things and that DAW for these things. So you kind of covered that.
Yeah, I'm looking at, people are talking about Reaper. I've wanted to get into Reaper mainly because I don't like the business model of Pro Tools and Avid. I just don't like it. But unfortunately, because I'm doing mixing for hire and stuff like that, I kind of need to be on that platform. So I looked into Reaper. It was also kind of like, I'm so busy. I was like, I don't know if I have time to learn this thing, but I've heard it's really good. I know a lot of metal guys use it, and I'm sure it's really, really good. Somebody was mentioning Bitwig, which I think is modeled after Ableton. Maybe some of the guys that worked with Ableton went and did that. I remember people talking about it. So yeah. Yeah, I see it, Tylo. Crystal's mic is shit. And we were talking about that earlier. There's like, hey, you know what, kid? I was going to say, since I was just doing Q&A, why don't you just come on down here? You know?
Yeah, okay.
And then we could sit together.
That would be awesome. I won't be able to follow chat because I won't have another monitor.
No, I have chat down here.
Yes, but I can't see it from where I sit.
No, you're going to sit next to me so we can be close together.
Okay, I'll give it a shot. Hey.
Yeah, I think she'll need a chair, though. Can you grab that, or grab another chair in there or something? Yeah, sorry, Tylo. Like, there was something going on with her mic, and I thought I had it fixed, and then we started this stream, and everything went weird. And I'm doing something weird with her microphone so that she can talk to the audience and then talk to me, and there's a switch, and I did it, and I've been so slammed, I just keep meaning to come back and check it out, and it's like, it's kind of a bad, it's like really, just, frankly, it's bad engineering, but I can't figure it out, and I think I got to put a mic pre up there for her. It'll work way better. It's a long story, because like when she's talking to the audience, she's literally coming through the mixer here, and then when she's talking to the audience, it's coming. It's stupid. I admit it was a bad way to set it up. I've just not been able to spend the time to get it done. So, a lot of stuff going on. Let's see. I'm looking at questions. Crystal's going to come down here. Let me see if I can catch up on questions here. Yes. Oh, yeah. Talking about, well, there's something going on with Pro Tools, the whole perpetual license thing. Luckily, I got grandfathered in, so I just pay this one set fee per year, although they just raised it. Yeah, isn't it funny how we keep buying the same shit over and over again? Just so everybody knows, nobody owns any software, just so you know. You never really own any of this shit. You're going to buy it over and over again. There she is. Look at that. Oh, here, let me move over just a little bit.
Where? Okay. Here. No. Where am I going to put this thing?
There we go. Much better than having you up in the other freaking room. And, because Crystal was always down here on the streams with me back in the day. And then we put her upstairs, and I've just not really gotten the whole audio thing up in the other room done well.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody over on Twitch is talking about, it's I sold my soul to rock and roll, is talking about one of the perks of Reaper is that the stock plugins are pretty much everything. I actually use a ton of the stock plugins in Ableton. I love them. I don't know what it is. Like, they ain't fancy, but man, I use their compressor. I use their EQ all the time. I use their saturator. I've even used their crappy reverb sometimes, because sometimes a crappy reverb is the perfect thing. It's like grainy and it like works great. Let's see. Can you see the?
I'm not going to be able to read that shit. Are you kidding me?
Well, hold on.
No. I'll just switch between windows. You know, it's so funny because I would work when I was sitting down here. I just had my laptop and I had my tabs, and I would switch between tabs to do what I do. And Billy's like, I need to get you set up with another monitor. And I'm like, oh, I'm fine. I'm doing, what I'm doing. I've got my system. Yeah, now I'm very dependent on my second
Here, well,
monitor.
let me do this. Look, what if I pull? Oh no, wait. Yeah, because that feed is all the other chats are delayed. That one's updating quickly.
Yeah, I
but it's
can't
up on-
read the white on black from over here.
Hold on, maybe I can make it bigger.
I can revert back to my old way of doing things. I just won't be as on top of it. It's okay.
Yeah, I was trying to be more prepared today, and then we had some emergencies right before the stream. Oh my God! Let me see.
well,
Can
I don't
make,
need
can
this
I make this
window.
bigger? Here.
No, I do need that window.
Hold on, folks. Oh, I can't do this. Okay, whatever. That's the biggest I can make it.
Okay, this one I can get rid of.
Okay, hold
It's
on.
fine. I've got it on my laptop here. All right.
Okay. I got to keep coming over here to dang Twitch. Oh, thanks so much, Birdum. Thank you so much.
All right. So, do you know anything about the Yamaha EAD50 for drums? Somebody asked about it. Spags asked about it.
No, I don't. But while I'm looking it up, Smoke Spun makes a really good point. He said, you need both crap and good stuff together to create contrast. And that's actually a really deep thing to say. So it's like, people are always trying to make everything wide. But if everything's wide, nothing's wide. It's just a bunch of wide shit. Sometimes you need something that's mono. Or just a small sound here, and then you need other things that's wide. I also think it's the same with like quality. Some things should sound kind of crappy. Some things should sound good, but it's also the frequency. It's funny, like in my mixes, if you solo up certain instruments, I've pulled out a lot of low end. By themselves, they sound kind of like, but in the mix, and I'm doing that intentionally. If you try to make everything really big and huge, you can't get it into a mix. Hold on, what was the thing they were talking about? Let me go to
Yamaha EAD50.
EAD50. I have no idea what that is. Oh, it's a drum machine? Oh, wait. Acoustic drum microphone. But what the hell am I looking at? Oh, it's a microphone system. Oh.
And they specifically said 4 drums, though.
What the heck is this shit? Well, we'll tell you this. It's over $2,000. So there's that. Is it a bunch of mics? I have no idea. What the hell am I looking at here? That's crazy looking. I have no idea what this thing is. What the fuck am I looking at? Hold on. Oh, get out of here. Can't move. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I wish I could say something, but it looks... Oh, it's my... professional grade electronic acoustic drum. I have no idea. It looks really cool. It might be amazing. I have nothing to say about it. I don't know anything about it, but god dang it, that looks really dang cool. Sorry.
Here's a question from Hector. Have you ever used 8 characteristic microphones above the drums with the null point at the drums as room microphones?
Okay, hold on. I'm 1337 Peter on Twitch. You ask a question, I really want to get back to that.
We're going to get to it.
It's actually really, really freaking important because I got a lot to say about it, but hold on a sec. Sorry, ask your question again.
Have you ever used 8 characteristic microphones above the drums with the null point at the drums as room microphones? It essentially doubles the size of the room.
Figure 8 microphones?
That must be what an 8 characteristic is.
Yeah. Not like that exactly. I have had... I've got a big drum room upstairs. I've got like big ceilings and all that. There have been some times I'm in a smaller room and I'm trying to get a room sound, so I'll kind of have a mic maybe close to the drums pointing away from the drums. I've never done exactly what you're talking about. One of the things I'll do is if the drums are in a small room, I just leave the door open and I put a mic out in the hallway. I've got a small room right back here behind me that's a converted garage, and we did a fly on the wall live stream with Sleepyhead, And I like doing the drums in there because his music's kind of raw and rough, and it's a garage band rock, so we did it in a garage, but I did want a big sound. There's another garage next to it, and there's a door that goes in that garage. I just cracked the door and stuck some mics in there, and while he's playing, I just left that door cracked and recorded in them there. But we also had a room mic in the room with him because it's a small room. I had to do that thing. I had to point away from the drums and moved it around. I do think room mics are real. When I was younger, I never used room mics. I was into the whole dead room sound, but as I've gotten older, it's like room mics are one of the best things ever. Sometimes even in a crappy room, because they're kind of blending all the sounds together from the drum kit. But if you think about close micing a drum, all the sounds have this incredible transient. It's not really what you would normally hear. Nobody's listening to a drum with their ear up to a microphone, up to a drum. But when you start pulling away from a drum, the transients kind of like smooth out a little. And a transient, by the way, is the sound that happens right at the beginning of the sound. It's that real quick sound, and on drums, they're like, pop, and they're gone, right? A room mic smooths that out. And you'd be surprised like how much a room mic can work for you. And it's only like in the mix 5 or 10%. You turn it off and on, you're like, oh my God, it fills in a lot of gaps between, because I like to close mic the drums because I want to make sure I'm getting certain tones, but the room mic fills in the spaces between the close mics. Okay, I want to come back to something here where they, okay, so over on Twitch, it was 1337 RP.
I actually asked it a while ago in YouTube, too.
Okay. I'm an artist with a lot of inspiration looking to work with someone who knows a lot more than me. Any advice on how to get the attention of someone with serious experience? Where are they? I have a lot to say about that, because I get approached by that all the time from people who want to learn from me. And usually guys like me, we're really busy. But I will tell you this. You get to a certain point in life when you've been doing this a long time where you're putting a lot of time into coaching people or guiding them or being a mentor or whatever. And then you just see people go and do stupid shit. And it's just, to be honest with you, it just feels like a waste of freaking time. If I'm going to work with somebody, I want to see them go do something. So there's a reason why sometimes people are a little bit hesitant about it. The other thing is, like with these Q&A, I'm just doing this for free right now, and I like to give advice and all that, but we do have to make a living. If you want to get somebody to help you, one thing is to pay them or offer to help them. And it's funny because I was actually talking to Bone Crusher on the phone yesterday. We had like this 2-hour conversation, and Bone Crusher is a guy that helped a lot of people in Atlanta, and we're both kind of known for helping people. And as I've gotten older...
Sorry. My presence here is causing that...
I have that turned off.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't matter. Don't worry about it.
It's cutting in and out for people.
It's not. It shouldn't be cutting out. In and out. Are people saying my mic's cutting in and out?
Yes.
Shouldn't be. Hey, Harper, you got the headphones? Are we cutting in and out?
Sounds fine.
Oh, that's probably on your end then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So... Oh, I lost my train of thought. Fuck.
Damn, I'm sorry.
It's talking to Bone. Oh. So, as I've gotten older and more experienced, people would come to me and they'd say things like, oh, you're like a father figure to me. And I would feel really good about that. Like, oh, yeah, but then I had my own kids. And I realized, like, no, it's different. With my own kids, you know, if they screw up, I'm going to be there and I'm going to keep working with them. I'm going to keep working with them. They're my kids. I'm going to do anything for them. And they're going to say things to me like I smell bad or whatever. I'm a jerk, whatever, because, you know, they're kids and but I'm going to be patient to a certain degree and I'm going to stick with them. That ain't the same with other people. You know, like, if you come to me and I'm teaching you and you act like a jerk or you screw up or whatever, I might just freaking drop you, right? But the other thing is with kids, I'm not necessarily expecting, I'm expecting them to do the damn dishes, which is always a chore, and take the recycling out and stuff like that. But there's a lot I'm going to do for my kids. I'm not necessarily expecting something in return. But people that come to me and want to learn from me, I do expect something in return. At the very least, bring me a freaking burrito. Bring me a Starbucks energy drink, or help me clean up. You know, like if you like take out the freaking trash or something. Or there's this one guy that used to hang out here a lot, and I was always giving him advice. And the reason I was always happy to give him advice because he was a nut for checking out plugins. So every time he's like here learning from me, and a lot of it was business advice about dealing with his manager and the record label. So a lot of it was just like intellectual stuff, but I was also showing about mixing. But he'd be like, hey, have you checked out this new plugin? I'm like, oh God, here we go again. But I learned so much. It's actually the reason I'm on Ableton. They kept saying, man, you got to work on Ableton. And I had Ableton on the computer. And I was like, I don't. And they kind of shoved me out of the way. No, let me show you, man. Let me show you. And they got on Ableton. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And they like brought value to me too. Just because I'm experienced and have had success doesn't mean that I don't need some things too. Sometimes it's just practical help with things, right? But sometimes it's just like maybe there's something you can bring to them. So you got to look at these things like relationships, you know, to some degree. I hate to talk about relationships as transactional things, but there's a certain amount of that to it. Like if you're hanging out with somebody, like I'm not Gandhi. I'm not freaking, what's the name of that dang nun? Mother Teresa. I'm a man. I got bills to pay. That nun.
Sorry, go on.
I can't remember. I'm not talking about the flying nun, but people can bring value. You might not think that you have any value to somebody who's been around for many, 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 many years. But on the other hand, like look, somebody just talks about this freaking weird Yamaha drum mic, and I'm probably going to look into that. You know, bring something to the table. It's going to be hard to get in the door, but also think about it as a relationship. If you can bring something of value, even if it's just a goddamn snack, that gets you in the door. But always find a way to, maybe there's something like, the other thing with guys like me, we're working so much, we don't always have time to keep up with new bands. Maybe you're like, you know, you're the guy who's like, man, have you heard about this new EDM band or like these rock bands out of Mexico or whatever? And the guy's like, I didn't know about this Mexican rock band scene. And then and then they're kind of like, whoa, there's value there. So you got to think about it as a relationship, and you have to bring some value. Nobody's just going to want you sitting around soaking up the damn information for nothing. I mean, I don't really care to a certain degree, but God, if you're going to be here, you might as well freaking help. So I hope that makes some sense.
Okay, so apparently it's not that you're cutting in and out so much as your volume is fluctuating a great deal. And also they're complaining my mic is still buzzing, but I know I turned that off. I'll be right back.
Oh, no, that's me.
Oh, that was you.
Oh, go turn it off, though.
Okay.
Always turn the mic off.
Yeah, well, I turned it to not, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad actually this is all happening today, because I've been meaning to do something about her microphone and all that for a while, and then it's like, yeah, I just probably tonight that's what I'm going to be doing. There's just been a lot going around here, and I had to stop streaming and doing a lot of stuff because I needed to deal with my house, and I meant to have some pictures ready, but I'll just tell you about it. Is like, I'm the kind of guy that when I'm really into something and I do it, that's all I do. I just focus on that. So as I started this YouTube channel like 5.5 years ago, there were like 4 years or so where I was just like this, you know, and I'm trying to do work at the same time. So I have this big house here, and on the back here, where I drive up here, there was this rain gutter, and it was kind of tilting, and it got clogged up, and water would pour over the side. And then over time, the rain gutter kind of fell off a little bit. And I would see it and go, oh, I got to deal with that. But it got to the point where the damn thing is about to fall off the roof. I have another house on the property that needed painting. There's a bunch of stuff like that. And then finally, Chris was like, Billy, you got to do something about that gutter. So I got a ladder out, and I looked up there and like, oh, God, because I've been doing that. I swear I almost become blind to this stuff. There's part of the roof that's rotting. And it's like, okay, this is not an afternoon fix. This is going to take a week. And then the other house on the property, she's like, that house should be painted. Drive by it every freaking day. But when she actually brought it up and I actually looked at it, I'm like, oh my God, it looks like crap. And I have to paint the house. So I had to stop. At a certain point, there's things, and I have a gravel driveway, and part of the gravel driveway was actually kind of coming, there's a corner, and it was kind of coming off. I had pictures of all these things. We just didn't have time to get them all together. But So yeah, I've been out there working on the driveway. So I literally had to take the last 2 months off to not only finish some working projects and production and mixing, but also it's like I just need to stop and work on my house before it literally freaking falls apart. Because I will turn off my whole brain to everything else in life when I'm focused on something. But sometimes you got to come and make sure your roof doesn't cave in. So that's what I've been doing.
Amongst other things.
Yeah, amongst other things. Not to mention, we've gone on some dates lately. Which
Amazingly.
has been really awesome. So,
I'm going to swing back around. Remember when you were answering the question, what VST plugins sound most like analog? Supmellow had asked, would you say that plugin is even more analog sounding than the Crane song?
Oh, no. Yeah, hold on. This is only available on Pro Tools. Good question. And I always promote this thing because, let me pull this up. It's, unfortunately, you can only get it on Pro Tools, but this. But if you're on Pro Tools and you want an analog plugin, and sometimes it's kind of hard to buy these, kind of long story. The guy who made this company, Dave Hill, died a few years ago. It's a small company. And their chief engineer does contract work for Pro Tools, for Avid. So he's a lot of times working with Avid on stuff. As a matter of fact, if you're in Pro Tools and they have that whole heat thing, that's modeled after this plugin right here. So I was having a hard time buying this plugin because I'd had it years ago back on a TDM system, but I needed one that was native. I finally got around to hitting them up. Could not get on. I literally ended up talking to the guy's wife or widow to be able to get the plugin. I think they might hopefully have it all worked out, but if you can, just keep hitting them. They'll eventually get back to you. This right here is the best analog plugin I've ever used, but it only works in Pro Tools. But it's got these different settings here that emulate literally like different types of tape machines. It doesn't look fancy like some of those. Oh, they got VU meters. This sucker right here is the absolute shit. And normally what I do is I turn up the process, and then I'll turn down the output trim a little because it makes it louder. And then I just switch between these. And I usually end up on Luster, Dark Essence, sometimes in Radiant. They're all really good, though. That's all. Thanks for mentioning that. That sucker that one's just amazing.
I have two questions, both related to monitoring. Where'd they go? The first is, what's the standard setup using smaller monitors with a subwoofer? How do I know how loud the subwoofer should be, and how should you set up the cutoff frequency? Oof. And that's from Soul Machine.
Man, good question. I have two subwoofers. I have one at my other studio, and it went with these Haflers, and there were kind of like just some settings that they suggested, and I experimented with them and moved it around and listened to records, and I haven't looked at it since then. The one I have here, I'm still not 100% about. I got to do some more work in the room. I don't even know what the cutoff frequency is because I said it and I forgot. I am so non-technical about this stuff. I think I just kind of set it to where it sounded good. I'm not 100% about my low end in this room, though. This room needs some work. I've heard of people putting subwoofers on NS10Ms. Me personally, I wouldn't do that. That kind of defeats the whole freaking purpose of NS10Ms to me. I feel like you should just get some big speakers that are made to work with a subwoofer. But as far as the cutoff frequency and all that, I don't know. That might depend on the room. I wish I could help you with that. I did it so long ago and I forgot it all. I'm not a guy who goes out and set up subwoofers. There's probably people out there that are way more qualified to answer that. Probably, whoever made the subwoofer is going to have better advice online than I could ever give you. Oh, and 1337 Peter on Twitch was saying about kind of meeting people, and like they're actually, how do you interact with people? Is it best to do it on Discord or whatever? That's a tough one. If there's any place where you live where you can go where you can meet people in person, that would be what I would do. So you can go talk to people and kind of make it personal. I'm terrible on Discord. I have a Discord channel and I have a hard time there. I don't know if I'm an idiot or whatever. I have a hard time following the conversations, but if you're into it, my kids are into Discord. I can't, it just doesn't work. I think to really work on Discord, you have to have it open all the time, and you got to be there. It's not something I can come back to every 2 or 3 days. It just doesn't work for me. Man, if there's any way to go meet people in person, go to industry events, and see because if you can meet, here's the thing, if you can meet one person, you only need to meet one person that's been around and that's in the industry and make friends with you, and you make friends with them and they like you, and then they'll introduce you to other people. You just need one, because like if somebody comes to me and they're really helpful and they'll say, oh yeah, go talk to so-and-so, and then I'll call, hey, this is so-and-so, he's cool, You just gotta find that one person.
Continuing back with monitors, James Edward was asking, why are the Yamaha NS10Ms still used today after 50 years? Are they really that good?
No, they suck, actually. I remember I bought my Yamahas because everybody said I should get them. Hey, you notice how the computer's loud now? Oh, no, that's her. Okay, that's her.
me.
Okay, yeah. Long story. I have a new computer down here. We're like, oh, it's so quiet. Oh, fuck. I already forgot what.
NS10Ms, they suck.
I got these NS10Ms, and I was like, God, they sound terrible. But the funny thing is I've gotten used to using them. I'll actually track bass guitar. If I'm playing bass guitar, I'll track my bass guitar on the Yamahas, even though they don't have low end. Because when you're listening to, if I'm working on a bass part on big speakers, it all sounds good. But a lot of it has to do with the articulation, like how you're hitting the note. And I can tell whether I hit it better on the Yamahas than on the big speakers, because if I can make it sound good on the Yamahas, it's going to sound amazing on the big speakers. The key to Yamahas is to overpower them. Get a power amp that's way too powerful for them, and then just turn it down like halfway or a third of the way up. I don't know why somebody told me that, so that's what I've always done, and I like them. They're really good for, I feel like, figuring out where your vocals should be in a mix. I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's like if I can make it sound good on them, they'll sound pretty good on anything. They're kind of mid-rangey. But they work. They work.
So I have a question from Nikki. It might be too big a question. They asked regarding UAD plugins. They say, I'm really interested in understanding when it comes to bus mixing, what's your workflow? Specifically, I wanted to ask which UAD VSTs or plugins you might typically use for drums, vocal, guitars, and keys, etc. Curious about the specific plugins and techniques you prefer with each of these buses to achieve that professional sound. And I think that's probably too general a question, Nikki.
Well, yeah, I will say this, though. Hold on. Let's go back to Pro Tools. Like, okay, I'll talk about it a little bit. Bus mixing like that, they're talking about mixing things through a bus where you take a bunch of tracks and you run them into like a stereo auxiliary return. So for instance, like here, let's see if I have this set up right. I have all my drums in this group here. All right, so here's some drums. And I'm going to turn off one of these. So let me move my bass out of the way. I do less bus mixing than most people. Man, I'll see people like, I got so many buses and auxiliary returns. It's like, man, I mix where like, I do have my vocals. I do have my instruments running into a stereo bus. So I have like an instrument master and my vocals on an instrument master. But sometimes I'll have, except for my drum kit, everything's individually just going to that instrument master. I'm not doing all this crazy busing. Unless I've got maybe multiple mics on an acoustic guitar and electric guitar, maybe then I'll bus sometimes. But the main thing I use it for is like on drums. So like here, as you can see, they're all the drums are coming into this one channel here, right? And I always do this on drum kits, because even though I'm going to go through each drum kit and like maybe do some EQ and different things on the different drums, once I kind of work out the issues with the individual drums, then I'm treating the whole drum kit as one sound. And then they're all coming into here. And I have a plugin on there. It's very minor high-pass filter on there. I do have a compressor on here, but it's not really doing much, I think. Hold on. Yeah, I mean, I may be hitting 2 dB of compression on there at a very low ratio. It's kind of not really doing much. But what I did is I doubled it on another track that's heavily compressed. I've got the same EQs and plugins on the compressed side, but I'm hitting it really hard. So the compressed drums sound like this. Super fast attack. It's under a millisecond. Pretty fast release. Well, medium. It's a little slower. It's 64 milliseconds. Sometimes I'm a little faster. It was just kind of grabbing the cymbals. What I'm using here is this compressor called the Manic Compressor by Boz Digital Labs. I used to use something by McDSP called Compressor Bank, but they changed the design of it and changed their release times, and I can't use it anymore. I was so freaking depressed, and it really pissed me off. They took features away from it. It can't get that snap. I use this now, and this sucker is my favorite. I can use this in Ableton if I'm doing live drums there. Although in Ableton, sometimes I'll just use the Ableton compressor because for this sort of thing, I'm looking for a savage, really raw, kind of crunchy, over-the-top compression. I want something that's like ridiculous, and I can do that with the Ableton one. So that's what I'm using there. And the only other buses I really have, like I said, I've got, boy, this has got a lot of freaking tracks on it. Like, for instance, I'll show you right here. So here's like all these instruments, and I've got these, this one's got a lot. I got all these hand claps in here, like we got hand claps. I did bust all the hand claps here, just because there's a bunch of them. But if you look here, all of these instruments from here, not including the reverb effects channels, all of these are just tracks going straight to the instrument master. There's not a bunch of crazy, bussing going on. But the drums and everything, they get bussed to an instrument master, which is an auxiliary return here, and I'm using this plugin on it. Oh, hold on. Switch this. I got to have it showing up on a different monitor here, which... Oh, no, sorry. It's actually over here on this one. I got too many monitors in this room. On this, what I like to use is this plugin by Cush Audio.
Hey, it's really hard for them to hear the DAW view.
What?
That's just now they were saying that it's really, the master playback is really quiet, the DAW view.
Oh, sorry. Okay, let me do all that again. Sorry, none of this was really planned this way. So on the drums, let me play that again. Yeah, if you're going to be looking on there, it's going to be late. Like the lag, you should really be looking on that right there.
Yeah, I can't read that shit. Sorry.
God dang it.
So just move on.
Yeah. So, yeah, let me show you again. So the drums going through the regular buses like this. There's not really much compression going on there. I've doubled it up with a heavy compressor like this. It's a lot quieter. You can't tell how much compression I'm hitting because the release is so fast. But if I make it longer, you can see it's something like... I mean, sometimes I'm hitting it harder. It looks like maybe 14 or 15 dB of compression. But yeah, I like that one for that. But getting back to so all my instruments are coming into this master, and I'm using a Cush Audio UBK compressor plugin. And this is a weird plugin. It doesn't have attack and release times. It's an odd plugin. I will use it on acoustic guitars. It'll do some crazy severe. I don't even know how to describe it. It's a very odd. I know people use it on vocals. I've used it on drums. I love it on acoustic guitar, but I like it in this mode for my instrument master. And this is kind of emulating like a SSL. I'm not really hitting it that hard. You know what? This is not a final mix. So let's see. This is a terrible mix. I got the bass up really loud. I was doing a deep dive, so everything's kind of wacky here. So as you can see, I'm barely hitting that. you know? So I've got that there. What I do is I have a vocal master, same plugin on it. All the vocals go there. And I've got the same plugin on that, and I'm kind of hitting it a little bit on there. Like, let me pull it over here. Just kind of hitting it a little bit. Then those two come to the main master. So those two, the instrument master, the vocal master, get combined onto here, and I'm using a Shadow Hills compressor, and once again, not hitting it that hard. Probably be something like that. And then from there, I go into a limiter, and I'm using this M Limiter X. I'm sometimes, by the time, it's a little low right now. This isn't a final mix, but I might be doing 1.5 to maybe 2 dB of limiting. A lot of people do a lot more, but the thing is, I'm doing so much work on the individual instruments that everybody's got a different style. But by the time I get here, I'm just kind of like, it's like, you know, glue compression. So that's the main stuff I do. I don't really do much more, you know, like sometimes I might have like on this song. Oh yeah, this is that song with all the dang vocals on it. So we got these vocals. Let me go to the end. This is Nate, the bass player's idea. We had this whole thing at the end. It just kept stacking and stacking. So it goes, I grouped all those, and actually, it's not a final mix, so there's no compression on it, but on vocals, especially a group vocal, I'll use the Metric Halo channel strip. This sucker is amazing, and, you know, my settings kind of like that. I might boost something on there, but that's about it. I don't do much. I don't do all the crazy bussing stuff most people do.
All right, so Craculandia asked, how often do you record electric bass into your songs? Do you record through some preamp pedal and straight into the computer, or do you mic a cab? And do you put compressor before the pre?
I record bass all the time. If it's me, I will run my bass. I'm typically using an Avalon VT737, and I'm pegging the meter on that sucker. And I don't compress bass much going in because I will compress vocals. I'll compress a lot of stuff going in. I mean, if I had an LA2A, like a real one, I might hit it a little bit. But I'm so obsessed with the low end and the bass that I just want it to be as pure as possible, and I'll deal with it in the mix. From what I've heard in the old days, sometimes people would come into the studio and they would like even try to bypass the mixer and even a pre. And they would, I've heard these stories about guys in the old days where there's a way they could literally hook the bass directly up to the tape machine somehow. There's some weird way they do it and bypass everything. So I'm trying to go in as pure as possible. Now on this album with Rehab, the bass player, he's a great bass player, and he's got a really great like an amp emulating pedal and all that, and he's got certain sounds. I hadn't done something like that in years, and usually when people come in with those things, I'm like, but I trust him, and he really knows what he's doing, and we use some of that, and I thought it sounded really, really good. As far as compression, if I was going to compress a bass, I would probably put it after, like, you know, any kind of EQ or something like that, because I want to compress the sound that I want. Because if you got kind of like maybe some like frequencies on a bass or any instrument for that matter that are a little too loud, they're going to affect the compressor. And I don't want that sound affecting compressor. I want the compressor to be affected by the tone and EQ that's closest to what I want. But as far as bass, man, and the other reason I don't use compression all that much is because I want to try to get the part evened out through my playing more so than a compressor. Now, once I get into a mix, oh yeah, I'll compress it, but I'm not doing a bunch. Like one of my favorite compressors on bass is like, what are we doing here? Whoops. I think, this is Frozen. Oh, that's just the octave part anyway. So let me go here. Let's see. Where is this? yeah, we had to do some work on this bass because we changed the idea and we are trying to make it sound more mechanical. But let me turn off the vocals here. Now, I am working with pretty good bass players, and I'm not a great bass player, but I know how to get it to sound right. But a compressor I'm typically using is this. This is the built-in Pro Tools Fairchild 660 emulator. I don't know why I like this thing better than the Universal Audio ones and all the other ones. I don't know what it is about this thing. They've got it set up so the input gain seems a little hot. So as soon as you put in the plug-in, it seems like it's louder, which I think plug-in manufacturers do that to make it sound impressive. But I think maybe it's kind of quote-unquote overdriving the circuitry. I love the hell out of that thing. Now, speaking of frequencies that you want to get rid of, I use this Pro Q3, and I'm just doing a dynamic EQ, and he was a little boomy around 50 hertz, so I put that before the compressor. So, and he's got like this active EQ bass, so it got a little boomy down there. So I made sure to kind of knock that down a little bit before the compressor, so that frequency isn't hitting the compressor too hard.
So kind of in the same vein, now moving on to recording electric guitar, Ubrakta asked why you don't use a D-box when you record electric guitar. I'm not sure.
A D-box?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought maybe you'd know.
You mean like a reamp box?
I mean, you do if it's far enough away.
Oh, and then Bert over on Twitch is asking, do you recommend any books, courses to learn foundations of recording? No, I don't, because I don't know any. I am working on some courses. I know I've been saying that for a while. It's just trying to get it done. I do think courses are very helpful, especially mine. But when I get them done, but also doing it is the main thing. That's like just studying anybody's courses or books. The best thing you could do is actually spend a lot of time doing it, doing what they suggest, and then breaking those rules.
The follow-up there.
Oh, DI box.
Okay. Well, before you move on, Bertum also said, how was your learning process in the beginning? You just sort of...
Well, I mean, I started this about 150 years ago, and they didn't even have tape machines back then, so we were hitting rocks together. No, I started in the 70s, and I had a 4-track reel-to-reel machine in my parents' basement. I was still in high school. I had one Radio Shack microphone. And I was like, what do I do? I mean, I didn't know anybody, you know. It wasn't like now, you know. I didn't even know people made books. So I just hey, put the mic here. So I'd have to record it and then go back and listen to it. And then I'd have to record it, move it, and listen to it. God, I remember doing, because I started out on drums. So I'd set up the drums. And eventually I got more microphones. And I had this little Allen and Heath mixer. So I'd set the mics up. I'd have to play the drums, dun, 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 and then I'd go through and listen to them. Go, okay, I think I need to EQ the snare. Maybe I had no idea. Why does it sound like that? So I'd turn. Oh my God, it took for freaking ever, man. It was just complete trial and error. Oh my God, But I did it a lot, and I did it a lot, and I did it a lot, and I did it a lot. And I think that's the main thing that you should do, is you should just try to do a lot of stuff. But, don't think that because somebody's a pro and all that they're not over here and doing stuff that's kind of like bubble gun and baling wire. I have these techniques, and they're super sophisticated, but sometimes you're just and you're just doing some crazy stuff to make something work, right? It's all right, I have an album. I did a project with a group called Grout many years ago, early 2000s, and it was kind of like a Linkin Park sort of thing, like heavy metal rock with some rap elements in it. And there was a guy who was in high school. I think he was in high school at the time, and I was producing him. I had no idea how to do music like that. All we had was a crate amplifier. I didn't have any good amps. We had a cheap crate amplifier and a crappy guitar and a crappy bass, and I was just I was already working on hit records at this time, but I just hadn't done anything like that. And all the rock I'd done in the past was a little different. It was more like roots rock, and it's a different sound. I had no idea. So we were just rigging stuff up and just trying crazy things and doing crazy EQ. nobody knew that's how I did it. And we almost got a record deal with that project and all that, but it got around the industry. Everybody heard these songs. I got so much work off that. It was big for my career. But if they actually knew how we recorded it, I mean, it was just like, you know. And the funny thing is, technically, it doesn't sound that great. If you compare it to some other records, you go, that one didn't sound as good. But you never noticed because we did cool stuff. They're just like, hey, let's put a big drum fill here. Bah, 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 bah. And let's do this thing here, and let's make this thing go, wow. And then, of course, he had these amazing lyrics, and his voice was amazing. Like, he had a cool sounding voice. And this is like, but I was like, I felt so stupid because I'd never done anything like that. And then later on, I'm talking to other professional producers and all that, and they tell me about the crazy things they're doing. I'm like, oh, you do that too? I thought I was the only. No, we do that shit too. So it's like, don't worry. It's not always like some hocus pocus stuff. Sometimes it's just crazy stuff and moving the mic around or trying or maybe you leave the mic in the wrong spot and it sounds great and you record through that. Sometimes
maybe you point the mic backwards.
Oh. Yeah. And I've told this story a million times. I'll tell it right now. I've mixed a bunch of Yin Yang Twin songs. And sometimes they would do them at my studio, but often they do the vocals over at Mr. Colley Park's home studio. And then they would bring them in. So we did this one song, and I think it was a song called By Myself. The vocals sounded freaking terrible. And I'm like, oh my God. But we got through it, and I made them work. And it's like, why is it bad? Anyway, Colley Park goes home and he calls me back later that evening. He's like, oh my God, I know why the vocals sound wrong. He had put them in a closet as a vocal booth, but he had the mic turned backwards. So they were like rapping into the backside of the mic. Mike's actually picking up the sound of their vocals bouncing off a wall like a foot away and just the ambience from that. And I'm like, oh, damn, do you want to redo it? And he's like, I don't know. It sounds pretty good now. I had to do such crazy I'm like, we were like, because he's brought me stuff before and it's like, it sounded fine, for like what he was doing. And we couldn't figure it out. I was like, if you saw the EQ cursor, I was like, we just got to make it work because we needed to get it done that day. So I think it was called By Myself. Yeah, if you go and listen to that, the vocals were wrapped into the wrong side of the microphone. But the thing was, it was a great performance. So there you go.
Were we doing the DI box question or?
Oh, thank you, Frank. Frank says, just commented on your video about the 808. I think you're basically one of the founding fathers of the importance of 808 in sound and music industry. Thanks. I don't know if I'd be a founding father of the importance, but I definitely was part of the evolution of the sound. I kind of talk about it a little bit in the video. I've got another video that I put out recently about who invented crunk, where I show how I would run the 808 coming out of somebody's sampler or a drum machine through outboard gear and EQ it. It was all about improving that sound and pushing it a little bit further. And yeah, Kid, if you could put the link up. Yeah, this video just kind of came out today. Yeah, Mr. Colley Park. So yeah, DL once saying about, Mr. Colley Park made great music for the Yin Yang Twins. Yin Yang Twins took over the club for years because of you too. Well, also probably because those guys worked. They're both a couple of nuts, but they worked. And they went out there and did it. Interesting thing about Yin Yang Twins. I didn't know this because I was working them. I don't pay attention to the charts so much. I knew for years I had stuff on the charts and on the radio. I've hardly ever heard a song that I've worked on the radio because I'm working all the time. But with a lot of big artists during that time, they would put out a song, and in that first week they'd sell 100,000 copies or whatever. They went gold in a week and all that. Never happened with the Yin Yang Twins. Yin Yang Twins never put out a song that had this massive opening week, right? But what they did is every week they'd sell 30,000 albums. Next week they'd sell 20,000 albums. Next week 30,000. And it would go on and on and on and on. Whereas these other people would have a big splash and then their sales would drop off. And I remember Colley Park telling me about that. As a matter of fact, we got a plaque. Hey, Harper, is that plaque the more recent Yin Yang Twins went out there on? I think it's hanging in the hallway.
I think it's that one,
Is it I or what? What is it?
Yeah, I think that's the one.
Yeah, go grab that one.
The one that where you're at the beginning.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny how things work out. Can you get it off the hook? Yeah. Okay. So there's a song called I. I think it's like literally like the second song I ever worked on with them or something like that. And I'll show the plaque in just a minute. So is that the one? I think that's it. And it came out a long, long time ago. And I remember Carly Park hit me up and said, hey, we're shooting a video near your studio. Would you come out and be in the video? And I was like, sure. So I'm thinking I'm be like the token white guy just in the crowd. Like, yeah. They actually wanted me to say something because I'd forgotten that at the beginning of that song, they had me say, hey, Yin Yang Twins, now that you've done...
No, what are you going to do how many years after Whistle While You Twerk?
Yeah, what are you going to do after Whistle While You Twerk? Kind of like the whole thing where there was this commercial where people would go up to a football player after the Super Bowl and say, what are you going to do after the Super Bowl? And they'd go, I'm going to Disney World. I was kind of imitating that. I forgot I'd done that. And there were sometimes it was getting played on the radio and my voice would be in there going, hey, Yin Yang Twins. So in the video, I forgot. So I go out there for the video shoot and they're like, hey, you got to do that part. I'm like, oh, what did I say? I forgot it. So if you go and look at the I video, I'm at the beginning of the video. Song comes out. It did pretty good. We finally went gold, 20 years later, over 20 years later. So is this it?
It should be the one, yeah.
I think this is the one. So it was like last year, Carly Park hit me up and he's like, hey, I got a plaque for you. So I drove downtown and met him in the parking lot. And we hung out and talked for a while. But it took... And that's, once again, a testament to the Yin Yang Twins, like their staying power. The song just never really went away. And he said, actually, because there was like, it went viral on TikTok.
It's covered up.
TikTok, yeah.
Yeah, viral on TikTok as
No,
well.
no, that's because of the chat. It's because of the chat. Look.
I know.
No, look. They can't see that.
Oh.
They're not seeing that.
Here.
Oh, we're on the different view. Okay, here we go.
Anyway.
Oh, I thought we were on the front camera.
Well, we should be on the front camera.
When you were holding it up a second ago, it was behind all this.
Okay, whatever. Jesus. So
I threw up a link. You made a video about picking that up. I threw up a link.
and he was saying that it had gotten popular on TikTok again. So he's saying, oh yeah, sales have picked up. It might go platinum in the next year. So maybe I'll get another plaque for this thing. But point being, I don't know what the freaking point was. I started rambling. Did I have a point?
What was the question? I don't remember.
I don't know. I just start talking and it just goes on for freaking ever.
There was a question. Where did it go? Well, actually,
I know I'm supposed to be answering questions. I'm sorry if I'm not getting everybody's questions because I start talking.
do you have, I don't know if you do you have thoughts on the groove box trend and the rise of companies like Teenage Engineering?
Sorry, I was reading something. Casey, are you back from work?
Casey has had the sound turned off and is kind of watching while they're at work.
Oh, okay. Casey's mixing. I guess, Casey, you're mixing a band right now while we're doing this. Okay. Sorry, what was the question?
Do you have thoughts on the groove box trend and the rise of companies like Teenage Engineering? I haven't even heard of that. Have you?
Groove box trend. Okay. See, I come on here and then you guys talk about stuff and I have no idea. Groove box trend. Is this a thing? With a groove. What is a groove box? Am I an idiot here? Oh, groove box. TikTok. Of course, I'm trying. I don't know about TikTok now. I'm kind of, TikTok's like, whatever, man. Groove box. What is a freaking groove box? I'm looking at these things here without like looking at videos. It's all just different shit here. I'll see you later, James. Thanks for hanging. Hold on. I don't know what the groove box. Oh, wait. Groove. Oh, let me go back. I don't know. What was the rest of the question?
That's it. Your thoughts on the what did it say? Companies like Teenage Engineering.
Teenage Engineering? God. There's just so many things to keep up with. Oh, what is Teenage Engineering? What the hell is this?
Okay, here's a question. I don't know anything about this stuff. I bet I know the answer to this question. They Ask Davidson just said, now, Billy, what's your favorite piece of outboard studio equipment? I'm going to say your distressor. Am I right?
Yeah, but hold on. I'm looking at gear here. Like, sorry, hold on, everybody.
But am I right?
Oh, look at that. What the hell is that?
Anyway.
What am I looking at? Products.
Can they see what you're scrolling?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
This is teenage engineering. I don't know what the hell I'm looking at here, but what is that? Oh, it's a sampler composer. You know what's kind of cool though? I've spent most of my life where we made music on a guitar or a keyboard or even like a drum machine with these pads, but there's this stuff out there that just the interface. What's the term? Like function follows form or form follows function with art.
I mean, that the whole point is it can go either way.
Yes. And what's interesting is that in music, like with these new controllers and all that, it's going to cause you to make music differently. I don't really have anything like that here. I see them online all the time. I'm kind of just, I'm just trying to like play my mandolin or rewire or restring my hammer dulcimer, which I'm going to pull. That's another thing I've been doing recently. I'll pull that out in a second and show it to y'all. That's a big project. But no, I don't know. I have no opinion about this. I don't know anything about it, but I'm going to have to look because...
They suggested you check out OP1.
OP1. Okay, hold on.
See you, Rick.
There was a product thing here. Hold on. Products. It does... Am I hitting this wrong? Products.
Okay, y'all. I see a bunch of you reposting your questions. I still have your questions, I promise.
Yeah, she's getting there.
You know.
I don't know. Okay, hold on. Teenage engineering... Let me do it this way. I can't find it on the website. I'm an idiot.
Hey, Casey, you back?
OP1. I'm also the guy who can't find the spaghetti in the grocery store. So,
can confirm.
Yes. Okay. Ooh, what's this? Yes. I saw this and I saw a demo on it. I'm like, oh man. I don't have any opinion on it. I probably need to get some of this stuff. Lately I've just been doing the kind of more like old school stuff, like getting ribbon mics and shit like that. But I kind of want to get into this. And I'll tell you what. Oh, and that ties into another thing. Next week's live stream, I'm going to have DJ Burn One on the live stream. And he's going to be coming in with one of the more recent MPCs. I don't think it's the most recent one, but it's pretty damn recent. That dude, he stopped by on Tuesday and was showing me, and he kind of brought it up because, hey, why don't you come on the stream? We'll make a beat. And he's seen some of my videos where I'm showing my old MPC, like wherever the hell it is. It's around here somewhere. I got an MPC 2000. He's like, dude. I was like, I know. I'm just using it as a controller. So, so he brought in this MPC. I'm like, oh my God. He's going to be showing. He kind of gave me a quick run through on Tuesday and it was mind boggling. Like, oh my God. So he's going to be here and he's going to be showing off how he uses this MPC. We're going to make a beat, and then he's going to do his 10-minute cook-off where he makes a beat in 10 minutes, and I'm going to time him, right? But yeah, this is interesting. I'll look into this. Thanks for the tip. Where does the law of diminishing returns end in the world of gear and processing? I mean, it ends when you spend more time doing that than creating. So if I get a new piece of gear, I'm going to experiment with it and all that. And then at a certain point, it sits there. Like, for instance, I've got a germanium, a Chandler germanium compressed mic pre sitting over here. Oh, hey, Harper, is this thing working? Is the gear camera working or not?
No, it's not working.
Yeah, I didn't have time to get that set up. But it'll sit there and not get used for weeks, months. There was one point where I didn't use that Chandler for 2 freaking years. I knew what it did. It just didn't. I'm not going to go use it just because I have it. But then when I needed it, it was there. The diminishing returns might be financially because you're spending a lot of money on this stuff. But it's just to me like once I get it there and I figure it out, then it sits there and then I use it when I need it. Oh, what's my favorite piece of gear in the studio? Outboard gear?
Outboard.
Distressor? Ha! Or, I don't know, man. Maybe it's, oh, hold on. I got to get this camera working. Hold on a sec.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, hold on. Crystal, say something interesting.
Y'all. Hey, actually, well, somebody was just asking what Billy... The question was, does Billy think that AI will replace real musicians? There's a whole video that Billy did about that. And I posted the link in chat.
Okay,
It's
now-
called "What is the Future of Music and Should You Be Worried?" So I highly recommend you check that one out.
Right there. Now go off of it and go to like, I don't know, something else. And then
Well,
go
you know,
back.
Gilbert Ortega, they said, "Hello, Mr. Dinosaur. What is your option on insert modern music tech you didn't even know existed?"
Okay, there we go.
You know, that is one of the things that has kept Billy going all of these years, is that he's really fascinated and excited to embrace new stuff. Now, not everything that comes along, but you know, unfortunately, a lot of folks start to get where they don't really they like where they're at. They don't really want to mess with learning something new, and they kind of, you know, get stuck there. Unfortunately, there's a lot of musicians that Billy has worked with that maybe have been around for a long time, and they're amazing. But they come to Billy and they're like, well, you know, I want to be relevant still. Like, what do I need to do? And Billy's like, oh, well, you know, you need to be on social media, and you need to have videos, and you need to put your music out there yourself. You can't rely on some record label to come and get you. And they're just like, because they don't want to venture into this new territory. And I think even if somebody's been around a really long time, it's important not to lose that hunger for learning about the new stuff. So, although that is pretty funny. Oh, welcome, 830 Audio, FOH from hell. Glad to have you.
I forgot to eat lunch. Yeah, being adaptable. That's one of the things that's kept me going, is that I adapted and I changed. And I'm going to eat a candy bar, a granola bar in front of you. Sorry, I'm starving. But let's get back to the gear. Now I got a damn granola bar in my mouth. Okay, let's go to this camera.
So you got your gear camera now?
Is it working?
Yep.
Okay. Favorite pieces of outboard gear. For the longest time, those are my distressors, like you see over there. Are we seeing it?
Look.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Those guys, with the white knobs, those are compressors. Then,
You're chewing.
sorry, I'm hungry. It was these. These are Neve clones, mic pre's and EQs. I love these things. Now, I had it in a video recently, and somebody was like, those are failed units, products. They quit making them. And I do think they quit making them, but I don't know what failed. I love them. But now, I think it's these guys, the Garbage Ideas.
Oh, right. Okay.
These things here, I don't even know how to describe them. They're like the best, noisiest, kind of crappy compressor distortion things, but sound amazing. And if you watch my rehab Blind the Wall live streams when we did the album, I use this a lot on the live drums, but also on like program drums and shit.
Didn't you have a short about making a dirty beat? With
Yeah,
that?
there's something up somewhere in Instagram or whatever where I was like you can put it's hard to describe what this thing does. It's over the top, but I love these things. So those are my favorite pieces of gear right now.
Oh, yeah, you do have a short, but it's a bunch of them. Maybe it's a video.
Well, it kind of like it. There's like three of them. One's like drums, one's bass, and one's acoustic guitar.
So, y'all, if you want to check it out, go to Billy's YouTube page, look under shorts, and you can find Making a Dirty Beat. That's where you'll find them. So.
Oh, Birdom, I don't know about what's going on with Native Instruments. I know that they're like have financial problems. I have a love-hate relationship with Native Instruments. There's been a couple times I bought plugins. Like they had a plugin for years called the B4. So it was like a B3, a Hammond B3 emulator, which was amazing. And then they just stopped it. And then they kind of redid it, and it was like crap. It didn't have all the controls on it. It's like, what the hell did you do that for? I don't know. I'm really frustrated with them. I use Contact all the time, mainly for my LA scoring strings library. How did they end up like owing over $300 million? And I don't know, man. I don't know what it is, but it's kind of a big deal because I know people who have kind of based their whole computer production around plugins. And there's some I can't do without. There's no way I could emulate a string orchestra in my studio without some of these plugins, right?
There's actually a question about strings.
Yeah, but it's like, as far as like amp plugins and all that, I don't know. I've been doing this a long, long time. And if I could bring a camera in there, I could show you all the Macintoshes. I've kept I got rid of one. Kept all my Macintoshes. How many times have I upgraded? And how many times have I like had plugins and then you upgrade them and they don't sound the same or whatever, and I got to keep buying them. And it's kind of like, man, this works for me. It's not going to work for a lot of people. That's why I've been like really focusing on things like outboard gear. And also, I love cheap microphones. That's another thing. If you watch my live streams enough, you'll see me pull out like a $5 microphone that I got at a thrift store, or like a flea market or something like that. Those are actually for percussion. I've got these little Radio Shack mics, which sound way better than my $5,000 microphone. And I got a lot of reasons why. I'll use that over an expensive mic. Easier than using a plugin. But my thing is like, I'm trying to not rely on plugins. I have the least amount of plugins right now. Well, I actually have a lot of plugins. Universal Audio gave me a bunch of plugins, right? And I use a few of them, but it's kind of like, but I use less plugins now, like as far as like the amount of different ones. I have certain ones that are core. But because I'm tired of getting in a situation where I'm working on an album and then a year later they want to come back and get, and maybe we didn't get certain stems or whatever, and I pull up the session, it's like that plugin doesn't work anymore, it sounds different or whatever. I'm so sick of that. On the other hand, some of this gear, like those distressors I know one of those distressors is literally 25 years old. I kid you not. And I mean, this stuff just lasts. And, so like I got done with the Rehab album. I'm using all these Universal Audio plugins. Not a lot, but they have a Marshall amp simulator in there that's really, I've got good amps in there, but I actually like that. I'm freezing all of those just in case. But I don't know. Kind of getting back to the Native Instruments thing. I've been slowly getting away from relying on that so much because I want to keep working. And one thing you got to realize about the music business, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's a marathon, and you got to make sure that you can last a long time. So investing in a lot of, there's no such thing as investing in plugins. Somebody said that to me once. I invested in plugins. It's like, no, you didn't. You spent a lot of money. That's not an investment. An investment is like this gear. A good guitar that's going to last your lifetime, right? Software is just something you're going to keep paying for, right? So you're going to want to keep working for a really long time. You also want to be able to go back to shit that you worked on in the past and it pull up where you can continue working on it. There's no guarantee. So if you're using third-party plugins, you better be freaking freezing them now because you don't know. You trust me, if you're younger, 10 years seems like way in the future. At my years, 10 years is what happened yesterday, right? And as a matter of fact, I'm putting out some songs because my album's almost done and I'm getting ready to put out a song. But some of the stuff, because of my life and things have gone on, some of these songs I started recording years and years and years ago. And, then I'm doing other stuff. I can still pull them up and work on them because I'm not relying. I either bounced them down or I froze them or a lot of them were done live. So just saying that.
Okay, so Muhammad, is it Badiazada? I'm probably butchered that, I'm sorry. Said, hey, I'm a student learning the violin. I still got a lot to learn. Most of my teachers focus too much on learning skills, and they kind of forget what the point of music is. I don't want to be a bad musician under the excuse of being poetic, but how can I draw the line? How do I create a balance between technique and artistic ambition?
Well, you're asking the wrong guy. Because I was focused on the artistry side of things. I do wish, I was actually thinking about this morning, because one of my kids is studying violin, and they're like learning how to read music, and I've been wanting to go to them and say, hey, you should just make up some stuff. I'm just going to let him be the technical guy for now. I wish I had learned more music theory and technique. I was just a bad student, and I just wanted to play in rock bands and get high and go, at wild parties and meet chicks and stuff like that. And then it turned out like, I actually got to be professional. But I don't know how you find the balance. I just think like don't don't back off that stuff. Like, stick with it because it's going to be helpful to you. But
It's the whole learn the rules so you can break the rules.
yeah,
thing.
exactly. Spend some time just screwing around, just like drink a couple beers or whatever, get a little buzz and just do something stupid. Just intentionally break the rules. Go do that stuff, but then have this other part. Like, maybe the thing to do, is like do that, but then collaborate with people who don't know anything about music theory or anything about this. When I started working on a lot of I noticed it happened with rock bands, but for some reason I think I noticed it more with urban music like R&B and hip hop, because I think it was because a lot of those guys didn't start out playing an instrument, so they didn't know music theory. So sometimes people would come in and they would be like doing something that was technically wrong. And in many of those cases, I was not a producer. I was just an engineer and mixer. And so I keep my mouth shut. It's not my role to say anything. So I'd sit there and be like, this is going to suck. They'll see when they add the other harmonies. And then they either wouldn't add another harmony or they would. And I'd be like, oh. I'd have to, goddamn, I hate to admit it, that's like really cool. I can't tell you how many times or something sounded, especially when I got into hip hop. Oh my God, these guys would come in these drum beats, like it's all off beat. The hi-hats are like lagging behind the drums. Like, this just fucked up. I wasn't supposed to say anything. Like, I remember working with Lil Jon. He's not a great example. His stuff is pretty on beat, but he would do this thing with his hi-hats where he would like delay the hi-hats. He would like literally make them drag behind the drums. And I'm like, what are you doing? But there were so many times I worked with people who didn't know a damn thing about music theory, but they made the coolest shit. I'm like, oh my God. So the thing I'd say, maybe the way to balance it is like, you've got teachers teaching you all the technical stuff. Spend some time with people who don't know anything about it. They do cool stuff, but they're just doing it like in this wacky kind of, unconventional way. And then just go immerse yourself in that. If you can figure out how to straddle those two worlds and get the best out of both of them, you'll be a monster.
Mr. Harry's Music said, I've been really inspired by using VeraSpeed to record vocals and slow or speed them up, and I wanted to try, especially with harmonies. Any ideas how to do that in Ableton? I know Logic has it.
Hold on. Ben is saying, Ben Holst.
You weren't listening to me.
Sorry, I got to tell. Hold on. I think Ben's watching my stream here. I think I'm hitting the compressor too hard or something. And Ben, I changed my whole setup for streaming. Oh, maybe I have my de-esser on too hard. I have a super professional person texting me, telling me how crappy my sound is. This is so embarrassing. Hold on. I might have the de-esser on too. My whole life, I changed everything here. I can't see my check. No, I'm not hitting the compressor that hard. Oh, also the other thing is when we're doing the stream, actually I stream and everything's going through the board, and then I go into a PC and I've got a little Behringer compressor. And earlier today, when everything was freaking, we were late starting the stream because everything went wrong. And actually, a couple of the cables going into my interface seemed like they needed to be jiggled. Hold on.
Yes, Soul Machine. There should be more violin on Metal Records.
Yeah, my live streaming setup's kind of a bit of a mess now, and I got a bunch of stuff improved, but there's a couple things with my microphones and my talkback system that is weird, and I just need to check them. So anyway, yeah, the audio isn't coming in. Yeah. Oh, this is a while ago. Yeah. Yeah, I fixed that, Ben. Yeah, I had a bunch of problems when I started this, like right before the stream, and it's why we don't have all the cameras working. I had everything working last week, and then I worked and I started up, and everything went haywire. All right, enough excuses.
Oh yeah, so back to what I asked.
Okay, hold on. Oh yeah. Oh, there's a. I gotta go watch this Pandolfi stream later tonight on Volume.
Yeah, what time are they starting?
I think it's like 9 our time.
Okay.
So
Yeah, y'all should join us over there, 9 Eastern time.
You know, it's funny, like, I was thinking about getting nervous. It is like, I remember we were doing a gig with the Tokyo Teens. It's a group that I play with sometimes with a couple of my kids and one of my friends. And I invited all my friends out, but all my friends are like producers and engineers and like really professional guys. And I was so nervous. It was like one of my best performances ever. And I was like, oh, Luke's a good guitar player, but people don't know he plays guitar and he's watching me. And I'm like, oh, shit. So then when people watch my live streams, I'm getting text messages like, hey, your mic's not loud. I'm like, I know. I was kind of rushing to get it together. I don't actually do this when I'm doing albums. I swear. Anyway.
Are you ready?
I'm done making excuses.
So Mr. Harry's Music said, I've been really inspired by using Verispeed to record vocals and slow or speed them up, and I wanted to try, especially with harmonies. Any ideas of how to do it in Ableton? I know Logic has it.
Are you meaning, are you recording it at a lower speed, like the song's playing slower, or using a plugin to speed it up, or... Because there's a huge difference with that. Back in the day, we'd sometimes do things where we would slow the tape machine down and record vocals. So when it sped up, it was a higher pitch and it gets brighter. Conversely, you can do it the other way. And then where you do it with the tape machine running faster. And then in the early days of recording digital, I could do that with ADATs and to some degree the tape machines because I have master clock and I could slow it down. It's not quite the same with tape. Now you got all these other plugins that do it. So that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out. Are you talking about recording in that way? That's what I'm trying to figure out. So yeah, if you can let me know.
Any recommendations for a good MIDI controller?
Nah, I have shitty MIDI controllers. Yeah, I got the worst. I need to put some attention into that. To be honest with y'all, like in the last couple years or so, I've been just trying to get this home studio going. And I got to tell you, man, this live streaming stuff, this is the hardest thing I've ever done technically. I've put together several home studios and all that and trying to figure out how to get all this stuff and routing the audio. This is the hardest thing I've ever done. And there's other stuff going on with my album and all that. And it's like, I've been doing a lot of wiring and lighting and God damn, I got these cool arm things, like these arm things in the room that I can put lights and cameras on. But I'm really behind on my whole MIDI setup. I meant to have a better controller by now. It's just something, it's the thing about having a studio and doing all this stuff. There's just so much crap to get. So no, I have no opinions on MIDI controllers. But I'll tell you what, next week, DJ Burnwin will be here, and I'm sure he's actually a well-known producer. He's been a professor at Georgia State University for a few years now. He will know about MIDI controllers. So come back next Thursday. He's going to be here, and there's going to be questions that he can answer that I can't answer.
Wanted to say thank you over on Twitch to Maxotsky for the follow. And UZ Racer, I'm going to answer that one. How is the order of the questions? There is no order. I copy them down into a document, and then I scan around, and I try to... I just do. The only thing I can say is if somebody's really, and I, hate to be this way, but if you really want your question answered, if you tip, we're going to jump right on it. I mean, but... Although
a couple times, like on past streams, because Chronic Dream tips a lot, and then there are a couple times he asked a question that went by and I never answered it, and I actually know people. I was like, hey, Jimmy, can you hit him up and tell him I'm sorry? I didn't, because Jimmy knows him.
But yeah, I copy him into a document, I jump around. There's not a lot of rhyme or reason to it. Okay. I used to try to go chronologically, but I don't do that anymore.
Okay, so maybe this is an answer. The very speed is done. Is it Tanner McCluskey who was talking about very speed?
I'll have to find it.
About very speed is done like you done on tape. Mixbus sells plugins that have it on Harrison Mixbus 6. Yeah, I don't know how that works. Like, does it actually play the song back? I mean, what was the question? Like, they're just talking about it, or were they asking a question about the process, or what?
Any ideas on how to do it in Ableton?
Oh.
And that was...
I don't know. It's an interesting question because I actually talked about this in a video recently, and I hadn't done anything like that in a long time. I mean, I would say that if you like change the sample rate, but that may not, Ableton's weird. That may not make any damn difference. Maybe if you had a master clock along with your interface, man, I have no idea. But I will say this, that Alter Boy plugin by Sound Toys does a damn good job of emulating that shit. I mean, if you really want to do it that way, like the old school way, go ahead. I wouldn't know how to do it in Ableton, but man, Alter Boy, and when I upgraded my system, somehow I lost my license for that. I don't know why I can't use it anymore, but Alter Boy is great for that kind of stuff if you just want to throw a plugin on something.
Over on Twitch, I sold my soul to rock and roll says, I know Billy has a lot of experience with rap. I was interested if he's worked on any hard rock albums. That long hair says yes. Billy's worked on everything.
Yeah, nothing famous. Yeah, I've done some, a lot of rock stuff. It's not my specialty. But yeah, I mean, I know guys who are really experts. But yeah, I've done a little bit of everything,
Let's see. Walton Banks said, when you're done with your mix and you're reading your final meters, when are you happy knowing that mastering will have no issue getting you loud? Like, what's your typical luff and range numbers?
Oh, shit, I don't know. God, that's another thing. I'm terrible at this stuff. I mean, I have never, ever in my life paid attention to any of that crap. The only time I paid attention to it was when I was working on some movie stuff. And the guy who's a director, who's actually going to come on the live stream, and I'll put down a note, I need to talk about the future live stream schedule. Somebody's asking about what's coming up on the live streams, and I'll get to that in a minute. Okay. Yeah, this guy's Stephen Perez, and he'll be on next month. He's all about that shit, and he does stuff that requires it. And I had the plugin, and he said, just kind of make sure it doesn't get above this level, and you're fine. So I just kind of watched it. I used to not put limiters or compressors on my master bus years ago, but the client started complaining. So I started kind of doing a bit of mastering. Like if there's a certain amount of what I'm doing in my mix that is like pre-mastering, like I've got some limiters and stuff on there. Dude, when I'm doing a mix for my clients, I'm getting that sucker up to close to zero as I possibly can, because they're just going to I just don't want to hear people freaking complain unless you're like the Never Come Down band, which is a bluegrass group, and they're going to complain. It's like, no, I'm way down. They don't want to hear that shit. But for most people, I make it really fucking loud. And when I go to mastering, what I do is I back off the limiter just a little bit, and then I turn the output down so it's like a dB and 1.5 dBs of headroom, and then I send it to the mastering guy, and I let them worry about it. As far as I can see, every mastering guy I've ever known, and these are professionals. When I get the mastering back, that's just louder. That's all freaking loud as hell. I don't know. People are talking about their luffs and shit. The only time I think that really matters is delivery to TV and movies and stuff like that. And I know Europe has some standards and all that, but shit, man, if you're putting out a CD, I'm just, I don't know, man. I literally, actually, somebody hit me up recently and asked me about, and it's a bummer because it's a group I would love to work with, and they mixed an album, and they wanted me to remix it completely in analog and have me mix it for vinyl. And I would really love to work with them. But I had to be honest with the managers, like, I don't do anything different for vinyl. I mean, I might consider dropping the low end just a teeny bit, like, kind of careful about that. And they didn't hit me back. But I just mix like I'm going to mix, and I send it to the mastering guys, and they kind of handle it. So there we go. I know I sound like an idiot on it, but I don't know. Ben's here. Ben, are you still online? Ben, can you tell us something about luffs? Certainly you've dealt with that stuff. I literally have just never paid any attention.
Yeah, Ben's hanging around doing other stuff, listening to us.
Yeah.
Hey, Punks Are Pretty asked, what is more important, the mix or the arrangement?
Arrangement. Unless it's a terrible mix. The content, the music. Remember, it's music. Always more important. Now, I mean, it's not like you could say, well, because we worked on the arrangements, our mix sucks. I mean, you can still have a great arrangement and work on the mix. But I always err on the side of making sure I get the vibe. And it's not necessarily a mix thing. Sometimes it's more of a recording thing. Like, maybe you recorded the vocal, and it wasn't the best vocal sound, or there was something weird, there was a little distortion in it, but the performance was great. I go with the performance every time. It's always about performance. I think the most important thing is like, are you portraying an emotion? Is there a vibe there? Is it cool? Doesn't matter how good your mix can be, the best mix in the world. It ain't gonna make a damn difference if the arrangement isn't good, if the vibe isn't good.
Thank you so much, 1337R Peter over there on Twitch, cheering us some bits over there. Appreciate it.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about this now because somebody said, "When's Billy's Crunk Session mixtape dropping?" I do actually have to kind of make a crunk beat in the next few days, so this ties into what's going on with the live stream. And just the live streams in general. Like, I had made a pledge that I would live stream every Wednesday. I moved to Thursday. There's a lot of reasons why. But I would live stream every Wednesday no matter what. And sometimes those turn out to be great streams because just something happened. But I have felt like I do want to approach it more like a little bit more structure to it. And I also realize I need to do seasons. I have to take a break. And I took 2 months off. And everybody's like, "Oh, did he quit streaming?" He's like, I have things to do. And I love streaming, but it takes a lot of out. It's like, it's very energetic for me. So I get tired at the end. And sometimes there's just stuff to do. So what the things that are going to change on the live stream is we're on Thursdays now. The regular stream. I might be streaming other times just randomly. I'm planning them out in advance, and I'm going to be bringing people on. And there's some other things I don't want to get too much into now that will involve hopefully some prizes and giveaways and shit like that. And we're going to do another sample song contest. Definitely going to do that. But one of the main things is like, I want to start bringing some people on and working with them. So next week, I have DJ Burn One coming on to show off the MPC. I forget which model it is. It's one of the newer ones. And then we're going to make a beat together. The following week, Bone Crusher is coming in. And Bone Crusher and I are going to work on a new song together. And then that song is going to be packaged into a template that I'm putting out, a like rap mixing template. And we're going to have all the tracks in there so that you'll be able to mix Bone's vocal. And the following week, it'll be me again, but I'll probably be working on some music. And then the next week might be Stephen Perez, who is an old friend of mine. He's going to be talking about podcasts and stuff like that. We've also got some great stories because we worked at a horror movie together, and there's some crazy stuff that happened there. And he's just an interesting guy and just knows a lot of stuff. Oh, thanks, Xavier.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hold on. Is Ben texting me or hold on. I think I'm getting more. Okay, hold on.
And what did I
Oh, no, wait. Okay. So yeah, that's what's going on. And then and then there's going to be a live stream, and I got to schedule this where it'll be kind of a fly in the wall thing. I'm going to have Darren Stanley, the drummer, back out here. You've seen him on my live streams before. We did a fly in the wall where he played drums on some of my songs, and then his band, Ansley Stewart and the Hold, they're in here. But we're going to do 2 days. Now, this is going to be probably not on a Thursday. Well, it might be on a Thursday, but they're going to be long streams. They're going to go for hours and hours and hours. We're going to be recording drum loops and drum samples. And Darren's sound is very 70s, like very muted drums, very old school stuff. He's a very funky drummer. So we're going to be doing that because we're going to be selling some samples and drum loops. So you'll get us to be able to watch us recording that. But we're also going to, during the stream on both days, he's going to do a solo set. Because Darren will sometimes go out and do gigs just on his drums. Because he's got drum pads and he does this wacky, I don't know how to describe it. Is avant-garde, groove stuff. We went and saw one a couple weeks ago. And it was
very artsy.
There were parts where I'm like, this is cool. And then there's parts of it like, I have no idea what's going on. But that's Darren. So during those live streams, I'm going to give him a half hour each day. And he's going to do like a solo set during the live stream.
And for those of you that have been watching Billy's live streams for a while, Darren has been on before.
Yeah.
So you may remember him. He's super tall and has crazy
The guy
hair.
who's like 10 feet tall and has long crazy hair. And he drums like nobody I've ever drummed. Like just physically, like why are his arms moving like that? He's just kind of like that.
Pretty cool. Where did it go? I actually had this queued up.
Thanks, 1773. Oh, he was on Twitch. Yeah, thanks. But hey, you know, if you feel like we should be charging, you could always tip.
They just did.
Oh, they did?
I thought.
No, that was Xavier.
No, they
that was Xavier.
Xavier did, but didn't. Oh, bits. They just gave us bits in Twitch.
Oh, cool. Thanks. There. Okay, I see it now. Yeah, I keep forgetting to look over at Twitch.
Poor Twitch.
Well, the Twitch dock is white. It is very bright. I don't like it. It hurts my. I look at it.
I mean, like I can read it from here, but you know.
Can read that, but you can't read. Oh, that is smaller.
Well, it's not just that it's smaller. Say, the real Kiefers asked, how often, if at all, do you need to replace transistors or other internals?
I'm overdue on a couple. I will say that, like sometimes I gotta like replace. Actually, I need to replace the tubes on my Avalons. This board right here, I need to work on the op amps. The op amps in here need,
Which y'all should check out a video. It's
not the op amps, the capacitors. All my caps got to be replaced in this board.
There's a really cool video when Billy got this board. That I'm gonna throw a link up to. It's one of my favorites.
I'll eventually get around to doing the capacitors on this thing. I mainly using this for monitoring. So.
And actually, somebody earlier was asking about your opinion on Soundcraft stuff, and I was saying, yeah, that you've got a Ghost, but also Billy's previous studio also had a Soundcraft Ghost.
Yeah, that's the whole point, Peter. Like to be sitting in the studio with me and. You know, for those that don't know, sometimes I'm doing these, oh, see you later, Tanner. Sometimes I'm doing these fly on the wall live streams and I'm not really talking like this. I'm working. So Crystal will talk and Harry and Casey will communicate and all that. But those are definitely, those are usually paid clients that have agreed to do this. And then sometimes in doing this, and sometimes it's kind of a mixture. Like next week with DJ Burn One, it's going to be a bit of a mixture. We're going to be working on music, but I want people to ask questions because he knows a lot. There's a lot of questions people ask today that I'm sure he'll be able to answer. So sometimes it's kind of a mixture of all of those things. Let's see, what else have we got here? Harper, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Oh,
I don't
sorry.
have any questions.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to help Darren with some stuff. All right.
Is everything all right?
Yep, everything's fine.
Okay, cool.
What was I gonna say? Darn it.
Two-Headed Monster says, I'm here for the prizes, which I won't win. Well, you never know. And I got to get back with somebody about that. So the kind of the prizes we're talking about, like I got to hit up some manufacturers. I'm a little behind on that.
Mr. SJK asked, I just got a used Slate ML1. What do you think about it? I love it from the start. I've never gotten a pro mic before. Was the ML1 one of the ones that you...
Yeah, that's their large diaphragm condenser. Hey, man, I got to tell you, they actually sent those to me to try out. And I liked them enough that I made sure to cough on them so they wouldn't ask them back. I coughed on them during a video.
A live stream, I think.
A live stream. So, like, yeah, I'm not giving these mics back, right? So you can keep the mic. But anyway, what was interesting is I didn't have the mics they're talking about, they're made by Slate and they're made to be modeling mics where you can put software with them to make them sound like other microphones. And they have a little mic pre-type thing you're supposed to plug into, but I didn't even have that. I thought some of the software, like they say you can still use the software on the mics to emulate the other mics. Some of them are kind of cool, but I actually was trying them out, testing them against other mics with just none of that stuff on there. And I got to say, for the price, god dang, ML1 sounded really good. I don't know, but I kind of wonder, like, maybe the mic sounded good enough that I thought they have to be selling it at a loss. They've got to be selling it at a loss in order to sell its fucking software, right? And get people on the subscription thing. ML1's a goddamn, like, if you can't afford a Neumann or like an AKG or something like that, I would absolutely suggest, if you're just kind of coming up and you want a pretty decent, large diaphragm condenser, yeah, go get the Slate ML1 and don't worry about all the damn software. Just plug it in. It's a great mic just on its own. I was pleasant, and even the small diaphragm condensers are pretty cool.
Let's see here. How do you get VST instruments to sound analog versus sounding like computer-made music? That's from DL1.
I mean, I fuck with everything, man. I think a lot of it, it's to me, it's not even about it sounding analog as much as making it not sound like a preset. I always tweak things, and I'm running through other stuff, man. Like, probably, I mean, the best thing is like you can have tape emulating plugins, but usually it's just some saturation and distortion. Just, fuck it up. Once again, though, it's also performance too. Don't quantize everything so much, Like, I don't have the best time. I got pretty good timing, but when it comes to like programming stuff, I'm not just going through and going and quantizing it all. Sometimes I'll quantize certain sections, but sometimes I just try to get a performance, and that to me that's the main thing. Try to get a performance, practice it enough, and then maybe if you just gotta lightly quantize it. But I think the main thing that people do that makes everything sound mechanical is that they're just quantizing and everything's in tune. There's nothing wrong with throwing your plugin slightly out of tune from other instruments, even if it's 1 or 2%. Try that, because like older music, not everybody was in tune. Nowadays, everybody's in tune so much. It's more about actually fucking shit up, and then trying to get a performance. It's not about the plugins so much.
Harry let us know that one of the chats is frozen on the screen.
I think the YouTube one's frozen now.
Oh, okay, hold on. I got to do something here. Turn the screen around. And I got to go, there weird stuff happening sometimes. So where am I?
Yeah, today's been just
everything. I don't know what the heck's going on today. Oh, there's Twitch chat. Where's the YouTube chat? Oh, there it is. Let me just kind of reactivate it here. Let me go here. And let me go here. And now. Okay, somebody type something and see if it moves.
There's going to be a delay, though. Right.
This one should... Oh, actually, if I type it here, I'll do it real quick. Hold on.
Is it open still, that chat window?
Oh, it does look frozen. Oh, maybe it's that window. Oh, yeah, hold on. Oh, it's over here. Hold on. Thanks, Harper. Wait, where is it? Oh, there it goes. Oh, I think it got pushed behind here and then it doesn't activate.
Oh, yeah, it's working now.
Yeah. I had moved it. There we go. Once again, the setup's a little wacky sometimes. Here, should be good now. I think I have to have that active. Okay.
So kind of on the same vein, Anthony Borden said, what is the best way to have DAW mixes sound analog? I have Reason UAD interface, and I have Tascam 2400, MPC XL, and Roland Phantom, but I need more bottom end. Do you have a suggestion?
Well, first off, and we got to come back to a question about the strings.
About the strings?
You said there's a question about strings.
Oh, yes, I have that.
Okay. Contrary to popular belief, analog does not have better low end than digital. In fact, analog has less low end than digital. Digital can do crazy stuff. I just think people perceive that because kind of generally speaking, analog has less high end, so they think it has more low end. I mean, if you're missing more low end in your mixes and all that, maybe it's not about it sounding analog or something like that. Maybe you just got to turn up the low end. Might be your monitoring situation too. The funny thing, people ask me about my low end, like on 808s and drums and all that. And by the way, I put a video out today about the 808, so please go look at that. Crystal, if you could put a link up there to it. The 808 drum, which comes from the TR-808, and I did have a small part in the evolution of that sound. I rarely boost low end on an 808. Probably 98% of the time that I mixed rap songs, I didn't boost any low end on the 808. As a matter of fact, I pull low end out. I find the resonant frequency that's kind of blowing up the speakers or whatever, and I turn that down. But then I can turn the 808 up. People are and low end. You're going to spend, if you want to learn how to mix, you're going to spend like a year learning how to mix pretty well. And then you're going to spend the rest of your life trying to figure out how to nail the low end. It's the hardest thing to do because the waveforms are bigger. Like a big low frequency waveform, sometimes from the time it goes from the crest down to whatever you call the bottom part of it, and it comes back up, it's like 20 feet long.
Trough.
Crust to trough. And these massive waveforms, they're just so hard to control. And so a lot of it's like the room that you're in might be not getting a good sound there, but don't be afraid to turn. Yeah, here's what I do. Here, let me tell you something. I always had this theory about mixing. People, you see somebody mixing and somebody makes it, hey, let's change this. And the guy takes the fader and he goes, meep. He barely moves. Everybody goes, oh, I think I heard a difference. Let's try it again. You go, meep. So you know what I do? I fucking crank it up or I pull it way down and then I put it back. Make drastic differences. And I'd say the same thing with low end. If you want to learn how to master low end, overdo it for a while. Do stupid shit with it and then work backwards from there. Don't creep up on it, man. Crank it up there. And also look into something like the FabFilter Pro Q3. It's got those dynamic EQs on it. And I think I was showing it right here. This thing is cool because a lot of times the low end is just more about like one frequency. It's not usually the whole low end on an instrument. So like on this bass here, you know, he had like a lot of boom around 50 hertz. Not that part of the song so much, but other parts. And when he goes to lower notes, it was hitting a lot more. He's playing a little higher. Yeah, but did you notice he goes to lower notes, it's pushing back more. A lot of times it's just finding what frequencies are resonating too much. But the best way to find that out sometimes is just turn that shit up and then work backwards from there.
Okay, we're going to get to Xavier in just a sec. I just wanted on that Sector Dweller over on Twitch was agreeing, saying that fucking with everything is the name of the game, to tie in with things you were saying earlier about staying relevant. Much of it's new and daunting, but where's the curiosity? That same curiosity that got people in the creative field in the first place. And, you know, that's a really important aspect, they're saying, of what you do and that it can't be emphasized enough. And I do think that's a big part of it.
And hold on, Xavier. Could we get to the strings thing? That was a while ago. I hope they're still around here.
No, yeah.
There's a question about strings.
Yes. I think it's going to take a sec because I think you're going to want to show LA strings.
Okay, so
hit up
maybe.
Xavier says, what albums made you look up the engineering team because it sounded so good?
Dark Side of the Moon.
One example for me is A Turn of a Friendly Card by the Alan Parsons Project.
Well, Alan Parsons engineered Dark Side of the Moon. I would say kind of like, well, it's actually kind of funny. Primarily Dark Side of the Moon. And, but Todd Rundgren was a massive inspiration for me to make my own records, to play the instruments and do it myself. But I think Todd Rundgren's engineering is kind of terrible. As much as I love him as an outer, and I love his albums, but sometimes the engineering and the mixing is like, God, that mixing is horrible. But the music's so good. Like on A Wizard, a True Star, there's some songs on there that the mixing is just atrocious, but I listen to it over and over and over again because I like the songs. But it's kind of funny, you know. I just was interested in them. I think they're great artists and all that. But I would say Alan Parsons, you know, Dark Side of the Moon was the thing. And the Beatles. I got a book called The Beatles Recording Sessions, and it just kind of documents their workflow and on what they did. And it was just like they came in this day, they did 10 takes of this song, then they went and did this stuff. And you actually start to look at the thing, and they don't always get into technical stuff about how they did it. It's just documentation of what happened. And you're looking through the book. It's very dry reading. Sometimes there's little stories in it, but you realize, oh, they just worked, you know? But yeah, Alan Parsons is it.
The Dark Side of the Moon was what you were...
Dark Side, but Alan Parsons engineered that.
Oh, that's right.
I guess he might have mixed it too, you know? I don't know, but yeah.
So Mr. Harry's Music asked, I've been trying to compose and add really nice strings to tracks, Spitfire first, etc. What are some good ways to get them sounding real besides volume swells, panning, and many variations in the dynamics?
Give me just a second here. I'm going to pull something up in Ableton. I got to hook up another hard drive.
So, I threw up a link, y'all, to the new video. If you haven't checked it out yet, that's the one about 808 that Billy was just talking about. Make sure to check that out.
Hold on, I gotta do something. I gotta get rid of some hard drives here. I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that. Okay, let me do this. Oh wait, what? I want to make sure I dismounted on my heart. Okay, I can get rid of. I can get back up here. Okay, hold on. This can go to here.
Out of curiosity, for those of you that follow Billy's videos, what's a standout video that you guys particularly enjoyed or that really, really helped you a lot? I'm curious.
All right, they're asking about strings. I'm going to pull up something that's my absolute favorite. It's a little harder to work with, and they changed the plugin, so I'm still learning it. It's LA Scoring Strings. It's going to take a second to load it up here in Ableton. I don't have a keyboard hooked up, so I can't really show everything, but I'll show
Oh, yeah,
this.
and ages ago somebody said, do you have any synthesizers? Yes, Billy does have synthesizers and uses them.
Not many, though.
Yeah, that's true.
I have my Juno 106 broke. I still use my Triton sometimes. I've got this like Roland DS something. It's a modern keyboard. It's a bitch to program, but it's got like a lot of those old 80s sounds on it. I've been messing around with the Moog Grandmother or whatever they call it. It's just like an old Moog, mini Moog. I like messing with that. I've got the Mini Log or Mini Loog by, is that Korg? I've messed with that. I know, I've been on this acoustic thing lately, man. It's like, hold on, let me just do something here. I'm going to, just in case I screw up something here, let me go, it's just recording dulcimer. Let me just put in live stream in case I change anything too much here. Okay, so let me play, and I want to turn off my vocals because I don't like my vocals on this song yet. Let me turn off that crappy mandolin part there. Okay, so let me go to the bridge because I got some strings in there. Where are they? I got too many damn tracks on this song. They're all frozen right now. Where are they? Where are my strings at? Jesus. Who put all these damn tracks in here? Good Lord, what do you think you're doing here? Hold on. Where are my strings? There's the Ulian pipes. Oh, here they are. Okay, yeah.
He casually says, oh, yeah, there's the Ulian pipes scrolling on.
Oh, what are these upper stabs? Okay, let me make sure. I hope this isn't too loud. Let me play this. This isn't like one of my best string parts around, but it's one that's easy to show because the other ones, it's complicated. So I got these. And then in the mix. Now, so these are, let me pull up the plugin, and I got to unfreeze it here. Unfreeze, and so what this is, God, I hope it's working. Oh, yeah. So this is LA Scoring Strings. This is, it's a weird plugin to work on. Somebody was describing these as old-fashioned sounding strings because I think modern strings just kind of have a different tone. And I thought about it, it's like, oh, it does sound like that. But one of my favorite things about it is, God, I'm not used to working on one screen like this. So hold on. Let me, if I solo up the cello, it does this thing where by adjusting the, oh God, hold on. It's so weird to be working on one screen. By adjusting the dynamics, so like here, it does this thing where it'll slide into the next note, like pitch-wise. I think it does it on this track here. Is that the plug? Oh, yeah, there it is. So I'll solo up the cello, and you'll hear these weird bends, and it's kind of what I like about it. It just, and the other thing is on certain settings, you'll be listening to it, and you'll go like, you'll actually hear like a little mistake in there. Like maybe there's 4 basses on there and they're bowing, and you'll hear one kind of go, and it's like, oh, somebody showed up drunk. It does weird shit like that. It's harder to work on, but to me, it makes it sound more real. Let's see if it does it on this one. There's a couple spots. It's not totally obvious, but like right here, if you notice, I think it was right about here. So you see, I have this velocity right here. So when it's going from the E to the F velocity is really low, which causes it to bend more. So you can see the dynamic is different for every freaking string. I go and play these one at a time. So it's, if you think about like an orchestra, not all the players are going to move at the same time, and they're not also all lined up exactly. So this one is, I'm going to bring it down here. It should bend a little bit more. Yeah, the lower the velocity, the longer it takes to slide. And I'll change it up. This takes forever, but I'll change it up so different notes are sliding at different times. And it's one of the reasons I really like this this plugin. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just got a sound to it. A little bit harder to work on. And I've only used this on a couple of, like maybe 3 songs since I upgraded. I had to upgrade from the old version, and they changed the whole interface. So I'm, kind of looking around, and there's some extra cool features on it. I just hadn't really had time to dig into it. But this sucker is absolutely amazing. And then it's got like, it's got like the different articulations, like, where are they? Oh, these, yeah, is it here? Like these guys, And I think on one of them, I think it's got this thing called, I think they're calling it slam, where it's got like, I forget what the term is for that kind of string, where they're like, oh, actually, oh, this is the one where I think I'm using, they got this other thing where if you hold down the sustain pedal, you can kind of create these like arpeggiator type things. So I built one. I think that's what this is right here. Hold on. I might have done that on this one. Yeah. So I built this so you can see the dynamics. And then it's got this slam thing. I don't know if it's working here or not. Still learning this plugin. But bottom line is, this, to me, of all the strings I've ever used, this is the one I like. And they do have an LA scoring strings, like, they have an LA modern strings. I think that's what it's called. So this plugin's kind of emulating the string sounds that would be in, I guess, older movie scores or something like that, where modern strings are a little bit more pop sounding. So I hope that answers the question. Was that the question? What plugin I use?
No.
Oh, shit.
Where'd it go? Hold on. I mean, I think you probably... What are some good ways to get strings sounding real besides volume swells, panning, and many variations in the dynamics?
The thing I see people do with strings a lot of times is they just hit chords. Listen to an orchestra. Ain't nobody doing that shit. No orchestra. Like, rarely. Normally, there's like complex parts. Like, one part's going up, one part's going down. Or they're crossing, right? You'll hear like these guys are going over here and there, and then one guy's playing along those, and then sometimes you're going from chord to chord. Well, one guy's going to go early, right? And kind of getting back to what I was talking about, like, so for here, what I did, I think I might have done it on this one. Let's see, did I do it here? No, I don't know if I did it on this song or not. Let me unfreeze this, because I'm not done with this song yet. What was I working on where I had big string sound? Oh, I did do it here. Okay, so on this, what I did is I've got, hold on, this is the bass, I think. So here on the bass part, okay. So I picked a bass sound, and I'm using the main, the stand-up bass part, right? And I came up with a part. I brought in another, they have another patch, which is the B string. So sometimes in orchestra, you'll have like these main players over here, and then there's another group of players over here. There's the A guys and the B guys. I added the B part on there, and then I panned them apart. Now to do it in here, because the panning's kind of weird, I had to do this kind of tricky thing in Contact here where I redefine the outputs. So I make the second bass part, its left channel goes to the right and its right channel goes to the left. So I'm kind of creating this wider stereo field. But they have different tones to them and they react slightly differently. It's not super obvious here, but it definitely gives it a bigger sound. You can hear that slight bend in there. Yeah, oh yeah, there's one. Yeah, when it goes right there, you can definitely hear a big slide. I just liked it there. Oh yeah, it's going from the, where was it? Not right here. Yeah, right there, because I had this lower velocity, so it goes from D sharp to the F. You can hear him slide up, but it's a different amount of slide than the other parts, because the other parts are doing this. Subtle. This is a pretty basic string part for me. They're usually a little bit more complex for things or doing other shit. Of course, you know, I do have this other stuff in there, especially here. And there was this track I had turned off. What the hell is it? But the bottom line is, I think the main mistake people do with strings is they just kind of hit chords like they're playing an organ part. And even an organ part's not going to do it. Work out your cello part. Work out your bass part. I do them all on separate tracks. You'll rarely see, like, all my strings together. The other thing I've kind of figured out with strings, and I think I'm kind of cheating here, is that I'll put my cello, because a cello will go really high. Places where people would normally put a viola, I'll do it on cello, because the guy making the samples on the cello, like to play those notes, it's just a different vibe to it. So sometimes some of my higher parts that you might think are a viola are actually a cello playing in the top range, and there's just this energy there. I don't know about other plugins, but it works really good on this one.
You may have covered this kind of with this. DL1 said, what's your way of making virtual instruments like synth spaces, pads, and orchestra libraries and making them sound more analog instead of digital sounding? And then how do you beef them up? And you've already kind of touched on that on a few different... It sort of fits with the strings, but it also, earlier you were talking about how analog doesn't actually have much low end. It's actually that it had more high end or something, right?
Yeah. Well, hold on. I don't know. I mean, orchestra strings are usually arranged in block harmony. I may be on pop music. I mean, I'm thinking about classical music. You know? I just think and the other things, I think sometimes people put strings in, it's just like a pad, and that's fine. That's fine. If you just want a pad, okay, fine. But if you want your strings to sound real, listen to really great string arrangements.
Actually, Two-Headed Monster Jam said that on YouTube there's all kinds of videos by composers who analyze and arrange 4 strings, and so that's like what you're talking about.
Yeah, some people are just going to go do your block arrangement if you want to, but if you actually if there's an album that came out in the 90s by Katie Lang called Ingenue, and it's got some of the best string arrangements in this kind of pop country I've ever heard in my life. But they're not just all going fine, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But if you want to make it sound real, listen to some classical music. Go to the symphony and look what's going on. It's a lot more complex than that. And and to me, that's why it just sounds fakey as shit. And especially, and even if you want to even if I'm doing block harmony, I'm not going to do the whole part on Omnisphere's got some cool string parts, and sometimes it will do that. But it's like, you hit a chord and it's bass, violas, and violins and all that shit together. You really want to make it sound real. Even if you want to do block harmonies, do one track that's just the bass part, and then perform the next note on another one, even if it's block harmony. Maybe change the EQ a little bit. Sometimes I'll boost the mid-range on the lower instruments and all that. if you want to make it sound real. Sometimes I'm not trying to make it sound real. There's a couple settings in Omnisphere that are called like Hollywood something or other, Hollywood filters, and they're kind of, I don't know, but they sometimes for that kind of shit, it's just amazing. But if I want to sound something that sounds like a movie score, which is typically what my strings I'm trying to do, I'm trying to sound like freaking Pirates of the Caribbean or something like that. That may not be the best thing. I would say more like more like a Kevin Penkin thing, who does scoring for like animes and all that. I want it to sound like there's a guy conducting that shit. What was the other?
The other?
Oh, I thought there was another part of this question.
Oh no, it was kind of related, making instruments, sound more analog instead of digital, like what you were just talking about kind of touches on that.
Hold on, sorry. Well, I didn't know what block harmony meant. I heard block and I thought like it's all just big fucking chords and shit. Somebody with a bit more intelligence than me would know what that meant.
Anyway, I think you've covered this. So, somebody asked you to discuss God frequency, Tim Van. I don't know what God frequency.
Well, there's are they talking about the plug-in, the God particle thing, or the God frequency?
I don't know. Tim Van, if you're still here, please clarify.
I mean, there was one time I did experience the God frequency, but it was the heavy acid trip. And it was like, I don't remember everything that happened. I just remember there was a sound. And then the next day, it's like, I remember something cool happened, but I don't know what it was. It was a weird trip. That's all I can say. Hey, what's this thing about reverb on bass and guitar?
Yes. That was Nikki wondering what reverb is good for bass and guitars and drums.
I mean, I rarely put reverb on bass or even guitars, to be honest with you. Maybe the acoustic, I might just stick some of the vocal reverb on there, whatever it is. Drums, I'm usually using like more big room sounds, I mean, I think people put, as much as I've been using reverb lately, I think people tend to put too much reverb on stuff. Try mixing a song and working on a song with like zero reverb on it, and if you are going to use it, try using smaller room sounds. Reverb to me is a big crutch sometimes.
Xavier's theorizing maybe the God frequency 432 hertz. Maybe that's what they meant.
Music must heal. David in the Bible played guitar. Here, let me look that up. Is there a God frequency? Maybe if I put it in my songs. God frequency. Oh. Apparently it's 963 hertz.
Okay.
I mean, it says it right here. It's on.
I see that. The internet said it.
It's on the internet. It must be real then. 963 hertz is the God frequency. We're done. If I just stick that somewhere in my mixes, people will be like, I'm just joking. I don't know. Oh wait, no, there's other people it's all over the freaking internet. Look at this. God frequency is 963 hertz. This is new to me. I'm glad you brought it up. I shall study it, and I will learn about it.
Yes, because they asked you to discuss it, so you'll have to learn about it, I guess.
Can I do a comparison of raw recorded drums and how to compress, limit, and clean them up? I'm actually working on a drum mixing course right now. I mean, not this moment. I worked on it for a while, and I got really discouraged because it was really hard to do. Because I'm really meticulous about how I explain things, but I've never actually had to explain it to anybody before. And then I went back and looked at it, and it's like, oh, it's pretty good. So I'll finish that one, and it goes through. It's not necessarily an A and B between raw drums. It's just got raw drums, and then I kind of talk about working on them and all that. I'm about 3/4 of the way through that course.
Bon Harkema said drums, bass, guitar, keys, and last vocals. Rhythm first, melody later.
Wait, hold on. I got distracted by something Harry was typing up there. What is it?
Drums, bass, guitar, keys, and last vocals. Rhythm first and melody later.
Do you mean for mixing or writing?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, mixing. Oh, by the way, I think I'm gonna do a deep dive live stream on Sunday. That's for Patreon people only. And I meant to say it. I pledged to do 20. I've done 19. I've caught a little hell because I've gotten behind, which I deserve. But I'm gonna do the 20th. That'll be my final one on Sunday. And what those are is I just pick one subject and I kind of dive deep into it. I don't know if anybody's made any suggestions on it. If I don't get a specific suggestion, I got this other idea where I kind of view things in a more global sort of way. But I did one where I was like, oh, I'm going to show people how I do a mix from beginning to end. And I got into it and I was like, oh my God, I look like a freaking lunatic. Because I work on the drums and then I start bringing instruments in and then I hear something on a keyboard and I go work on that. And then I come over here and then I go and I check the vocals. And it's like, it kind of generally goes from low end to high end, meaning from left to right. So I got my bass, my drums, my guitars, other instruments, vocals, and then background vocals. But if you work too much on just the drums and you bring all this other stuff, you need to compare because things combined will sound different. For instance, one thing I never really thought about this until I started doing the live streams and the deep dives and all that, is where I'll be talking about an EQ and I'll show somebody and I'll solo up the instrument and I'll adjust the EQ and you can barely hear it. I'm like, I know it's doing something, but in the mix, that same change sounds really noticeable when there's other instruments in there. By itself, it's not so much because of the way it all interacts. So when you're mixing, yeah, I'm generally starting with the drums. Kind of want to get the drums and the bass closer because, most of the music I work on, it's like, it's got a beat, right? But I'm constantly going and checking other things. But generally speaking, yeah, drums, bass, instruments, vocal, back to drums, vocal, some bass. I mean, it's like this. And then probably the last things I'm doing is like maybe harmonies, although I'm sticking them in there, but I'll kind of have them down, It's a hard thing to do to mix with all the instruments in there. Soloing is important sometimes, but it's not any place you ever want to stay for too long. You start like fooling yourself about what's going on. But it's mixing after all. It's how they all blend. And it's crazy. Like you can be in a situation where you can adjust the mid-range on the vocal or a snare drum, and it makes something else sound like it has more mid-range. I don't even know how to explain it. There's some term for that out there. I know what masking is, but there's this thing where, yeah, you adjust it, and it makes another instrument sound like you're doing something to it. And I'm adjusting this freaking instrument here. That's why you got to hear all that stuff together and pay attention. And don't mix too loudly.
So I think we've hit close to 3 hours here. Or
yeah,
right
I probably got to get going. No harmonica. Damn.
So we need to make sure that everybody knows. So you just talked about your Patreon live stream. And
what are they talking about?
that came out of nowhere.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, that one came out of nowhere. And so okay, your Patreon live stream is happening on Sunday.
Yep.
This upcoming Thursday, a week from today, you've got DJ Burn One coming in. You guys are going to be working on tracks and stuff.
Yep.
The following Thursday is going to be Bone.
Bone Crusher's coming in, and that'll be entertaining, I'm sure.
Yes. Is it the following Thursday, Darren, or have we not scheduled him yet?
No, I hadn't scheduled Darren yet, and I need to plan that a little bit more. The next Thursday after that, will be last Thursday of the month. It'll just be me again, and I'll probably be working on some of my music.
So, guys, also make sure to like. I've realized I haven't told you that this entire 3 hours. Please do like this video. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please be sure. Why do I keep looking at the mic instead of the camera? Please be sure to subscribe. It has lights on it.
It's got cool lights on it.
Make sure that you subscribe to Billy's YouTube channel. And if you're into Twitch, make sure to go over there. It's twitch.tv/Billy_Hume. That's where you can find Billy on Twitch. All of these live streams are always available on Billy's YouTube channel. If you go there, it's Freaking Out with Billy Hume, and you click on the live tab, you can find all the live streams, which will include the fly on the wall streams, which most of you know, but that's something special that Billy will do when he's got an actual recording session going on in the studio. He'll set up the cameras, hit record, let it roll, and you guys can kind of hang out in the studio and watch the entire process unfold. Some of these streams are hours and hours and hours long. I think over 14 hours, I think, is our record. Billy did an entire week of these with the band Rehab. That's really interesting to watch because they have an interesting workflow, kind of more of a hip-hop type workflow where they were writing songs as they're recording. So you get to really see the whole process. So all of that stuff is on Billy's YouTube channel under the live tab. let me think. Yeah, Billy's got a Patreon. Feel free to check that out. In addition to the live streams that he's been doing, which he will have up there for people to be able to check out, he's got some samples you can download. He's got some PDFs with good information. There's a really good one people ask about that's good tips on setting up your room for best audio that you can manage to get. So there's some cool downloads over there on Patreon. There is a Discord channel. Feel free to hop on over there and join us if you haven't already. Billy and I aren't there a ton, but there's a lot of really great folks that are. So feel free to go over there and take some ask some questions. Am I too quiet still?
Oh, no. Harry's saying something about the microphone and all that. And the only reason she's sitting down here is I was having an issue with her mic in the room where she live streams from. I'm so distracted by Dr. Anar something.
Anarnia cam removals.
I don't know what they're typing in here. I'm so freaking confused.
They, for those of you that don't know, they're saying never challenge death to a pillow fight.
There was something about the police interview. I see UZ Racer here. It's been a minute. But yeah, I think we're done for the stream now. I need to...
Apologies if I didn't get to your question.
Yeah, sorry about that. I do have to get ready for...
Oh yeah, that was the other
else.
thing. The other live stream. We should tell people about it with Pandolfi.
Oh yeah, that's on Volume. I don't know if
Okay.
y'all are familiar with Volume.com. There's a friend of mine who's a banjo player in the band, the Infamous String Dusters, and they're doing a live stream tonight. I hadn't been on a Volume live stream in a long time, but it's another streaming platform, kind of more like Twitch, I think, but it's focused just on music. And I'm thinking about possibly, because I'm streaming on YouTube and Twitch right now, I might add Volume to that. I'm thinking about that right now. But anyway, this has been really, really cool. I appreciate everybody like hanging out and asking questions and watching the stream.
Oh, mine crashed.
Next Thursday should be very interesting with DJ Burn One. I'd like to thank Harry Stark for modding. I think Casey was here. I don't know if they're still here or not. Casey 5181. Harper's been here running the cameras, although it's been kind of a boring day for them. And because there's not much camera switching back and forth. And of course, the beautiful Kit here for always supporting. So anyway, everybody take it easy. We'll see you next time. In the meantime, be unique. See you later. Take 1, take 2, take 3, take 4, take 5, take whatever.